or whether a completely different set of skills are needed for these kind of exams. The government has accepted that there have been flaws. The government has accepted that Subodh Singh has been incapable. That is the reason why they have gone ahead and sacked him in the very first go. And this sacking becomes very important because the word that has been used in the order says that he has been sent to the DOPT, which essentially means that he has been sacked for all practical purposes and a new additional charge has been given. So now what happens next in this case becomes interesting. But I would say that this is for the first time an action of this nature has been taken because they realized that NEET was just not the only exam. There was NET, which has been cancelled. Only yesterday, Tanima, we got reports of another exam being postponed because of some unforeseen circumstances and also logistical challenges. So if Mr. Subodh Singh is incapable of understanding the logistical challenges which are related to exams of this scale, then certainly he is not the right person to hold these exams, and hence the government going ahead and sacking. This is the word that has to be used. He has been removed from his post as the head or the Director General of National Testing Agency.
Right, Maria, very significant there, and in a way, an unprecedented move also of sorts that an official of this level has in fact been removed from his post, of course, following days of pressure being mounted primarily by the students there. But, from your sources and the fact that you've been covering this issue for days now, are we looking at more heads rolling?
So, Tanima, I would wait and see. Yes, I do not rule that out because if the government has sacked the DG, he is the topmost boss of the National Testing Agency. The government has decided that they would be going ahead and, taking action against him. He's removed. Now, what next? When it looks at the structural changes, what will be the nature of appointment that will happen? Professor C.B. Sharma, Tanima, is also joining us. And perhaps if Professor Sharma can hear me, Professor Sharma, only yesterday on the big fight, you were talking about how Mr. Subodh Singh is incapable of handling it. So now the government really understanding the mood of the nation in many ways, understanding that the student community has been extremely upset and they are demanding action, and hence they have gone ahead and realized that the buck stops here, the buck stops with the NTA chief, and hence action has to be taken. Professor Sharma, if you can hear me, sir. Okay, we'll try and connect with Professor C.B. Sharma, but only yesterday, Tanima, Professor C.B. Sharma, who conducts exams at a very, the exams are conducted all over India, and they conduct exams taking on board the state government. One question that was being raised repeatedly was that how does UPSC exams get conducted? Because the DGP and the chief secretaries of the states are involved. Then what is stopping the NTA to ensure that there is complete cooperation between the center and the state government? Why is that step or why is that help not being sought by the National Testing Agency? So these questions that were being raised by the various educationists, including, all of them have been saying that there was this lack of faith in this body. The student community said that even if, the retest happens of 1,563 students, what next in this case? In the sense that there is no guarantee that all 24 lakh students, even if there is a retest of 24 lakh students for NEET, that will be conducted in free and fair manner. So if the body itself is seen as a body which is not capable of conducting exams at this scale, that is the reason the government has said, sack him, he has to be removed, a new system has to be put in place.
Right. Maria Shakil, who's brought us that breaking update. Maria, you have been covering this issue, as I've said, right from the day one. Do you think, and you've spoken to, of course, people across the spectrum who are connected to this, students included, do you think this was a decision which the government has taken too late, as per your analysis and the way you have seen this story unfolding?
Well, the government certainly would have wanted, that the action should be taken earlier. It could have functioned differently. But look, if you look at the sequence of events, because the matter was in the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court was monitoring all the petitions and hearing those petitions which was coming before it. But it did not really stop at NEET. What worried the government and what continues to worry the government, and even as we say that, Tanima, let's tell the directors in the studio to connect us to Professor C.B. Sharma in particular, because he'll be able to put this story in context. Because in 2016, when the NEET structure or the NTA was put up as a body, there were two members who were part of that committee, Professor Subramaniam, who spoke to us yesterday, and Professor C.B. Sharma. They were of the opinion that this body is not really capable of handling, that they were not able to really foresee that 7 years down the line, 24 lakh students will be appearing for NEET. So let's try and connect to him. But in the meanwhile, Tanima, the question certainly is that because the Supreme Court was monitoring it, it did not really stop at NEET. The Supreme Court, the question before the Supreme Court was the transparency or the lack of it in the NEET exams and the paper leak and other allegations which had come, the grace marks which were given arbitrarily by the National Testing Agency. So now that was to do with NEET. Then came NET, which was cancelled. Then came another exam only yesterday, NUET, which said that it had to be postponed because of logistical challenges. So I think one after another, the NTA's failures were coming to the surface. And hence the government realizing that it had become too much of a hot potato for them to handle, hence going ahead and sacking him. Professor Sharma, if you can hear me, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you, Maria.
Professor Sharma, only yesterday on Big Fight, you were speaking about how Subodh Kumar is incapable of handling NTA and the entire scale of exams, and today he has been sacked by the government. Your thoughts?
Look, the stand I had taken yesterday was that Mr. Subodh Kumar Singh is a career bureaucrat who has never handled any examination body, any assessing body, and the task was not appropriate to him. And that was my stand. I mean, I'm not sitting on judgment on his capabilities. He must be a very good IAS officer, and that is why, and I know we heard that he is an additional secretary in the government. My whole contention was that you give this job to somebody who is capable and who has experience of it. Obviously, Sri Subodh Kumar Singh ji did not have such an experience. He had no idea of how exams are organized across the country and what can be the hazard. And that is why the NTA has faltered. I just hope Pradeep Singh Kharola, who has been appointed, has experience of organizing exams. He has handled such things, and he would understand how exams are organized. Obviously, see, there are big mafias in examination. Exams, and especially exams like NEET, is big money. And for anybody who has not really handled it, will be a difficult job. What I believe is removal of Subodh Kumar Singh will definitely satisfy millions of students who were suffering and who were agitating against it. It will definitely satisfy the opposition parties, but I believe the government must have done its homework and found that Subodh Kumar Singh was somewhere at fault, and that is why he has been removed. Removing somebody without really finding a fault will be more dangerous for NTA, because the future NTA DGs will not take decisions, because they would believe, why should I take decision if I can be sacked? So I believe it's a very slippery ground, and the government is definitely on very slippery ground. If removal of Subodh Kumar Singh is just to satisfy the students or the opposition, then it is dangerous. If fault has been found, I am completely with it. But I will again repeat, I hope Pradeep Singh Kharola has the experience of handling exams, and he knows what assessment and evaluation is and how to organize it across nation.
Okay. Professor Sharma, thank you so much for speaking to NDTV. An issue which has been raised continuously by NDTV through and through. We have been standing with the student community, raising their concerns. We have been also giving you government views. We have been raising all sides of the story, but there's only one side. We are standing with the student of India, and the message that is coming here is that Dharmendra Pradhan, the education minister, who had said that there are institutional challenges, that there is an institutional failure when it comes to the NTA and its functioning, has gone ahead and taken that move. The government of India going ahead and sacking the NTA boss.
Right, Maria, there bringing us the breaking update. A big development taking place in this entire NEET fiasco, with the government now sacking the National Testing Agency chief. We'll be tracking all angles of that big breaking developing story, but after this very short break. Stay tuned.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the topmost news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
तो दोस्तों ये है कोटा के बेस्ट टीचर्स जीतू भैया।
हाँ या ना कुछ बोल भाई।
जीतू भैया क्यों? जीतू सर क्यों नहीं?
You're fondly known as Jeetu Bhaiya on the show, and that's how maybe everybody likes to call you these days as well.
जो कैरेक्टर है बहुत ही फिक्शनल था, मैंने पढ़ाया भी है और मैं उस कोटा के कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट में पढ़ा हूँ जहाँ पे मैंने बहुत सारे टीचर्स देखे हैं, बट जीतू भैया का जो कैरेक्टर है वो काफ़ी डिफरेंट है।
पहले कहते 11 लाख स्टूडेंट्स के साथ जेईई का एग्जाम दो और टॉप 1% में आओ, चलो ठीक है मान लिया, ठीक है नहीं, इससे भी आपका एडमिशन नहीं होगा, उसके साथ आपको बोर्ड से 75% लाने होंगे। ये कैसा 2 फैक्टर ऑथेंटिकेशन है इनका? जब मैंने पहला सीन पढ़ा तो मुझे फटाक से मेरी पहली चीज़ वही चीज़ याद आ गई कि यार ऐसा सेम मेरे साथ हुआ है।
एक आखिरी बार जोर लगा दो और एडवांस में तोड़ फोड़ मचा दो।
I am very happy to be included in the world of Kota because tremendous potential and strength that the youth of India represent, and I feel our storytelling has never included them before.
ड्रीम नहीं, एम बोलो। ड्रीम बस देखे जाते हैं, एम अचीव किया जाता है।
बहुत बार ऐसा होता है, एंड आई हैव सीन मेनी गाइज जो कि 2 फोन कैरी करते हैं सिर्फ इसलिए कि उनको 2 अलग अलग व्हाट्सएप को रन करना है। एंड समटाइम्स आई अंडरस्टैंड कि मतलब एक फोन होना मुश्किल हो जाता है, बट व्हाट्सएप हैज अ बिल्ट इन ऑप्शन। अगर आपको नहीं पता है, यू कैन जस्ट ऐड एन अकाउंट इन द सेम एप्लीकेशन। ये बड़ा आसान है। यू जस्ट गो टू व्हाट्सएप, आप सेटिंग्स में जाएंगे, अकाउंट पे जाएंगे, एंड वहां पे यू कैन जस्ट ऐड अनदर अकाउंट। आप नंबर डालिए, ओटीपी आएगा, वेरीफाई हो जाएगा, अपनी डिस्प्ले फोटो ऐड कीजिए अगर करना है तो, एंड दैट्स इट, योर अकाउंट इज डन। बेसिकली आप उसी एक
Welcome back. For the benefit of our viewers who are just joining us, we are bringing you the big breaking update, and that is that the government has sacked the National Testing Agency chief, Subodh Kumar. He has been removed from his position. This comes on the back of multiple test fiascos, competitive exam fiascos that we have seen over the past several weeks. Now, first it was the irregularities being reported as far as the NEET, the pre-medical entrance test exam is concerned. Then, of course, the UGC-NET exam, which was cancelled. And then, of course, we had seen several other test exams, competitive test exams, which were under the radar back-to-back. 2 cases happening in this week alone. We've seen the kind of student protests which have been calling for cancellation of NEET and also sacking of the National Testing Agency chief. And the government finally seems to have given in to that pressure there. Also, at the same time, this very significant announcement which has been made, of course, earlier today, where a panel, we have come to know of the names of the 7-member panel, which is going to be headed by the former ISRO chief, looking into overhauling the entire competitive exam process and also rehauling the functioning of the National Testing Agency. We will be tracking all the angles on this big developing story after a very short break. Stay with NDTV.
Get ready for the ride of your life. NDTV brings you the NDTV Auto Show with me, Mugdha Mishra. From the fastest supercars to the sleekest new energy vehicles to your trusted daily ride, we cover it all. Every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7. Your next great escape starts here.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. 10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India, one world hygiene.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
It's time for the favorite section जिसका मैं इंतजार करता हूँ हमेशा. It's called Ask TG and यहाँ पे I answer all your questions. Let's see what we have for this week.
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello, Moto.
Hello and welcome to watching NDTV. I am Vedant Kharola. Big focus at this hour, the exam mess spiraling out of control. In fact, the latest that we're getting is that the NEET postgraduate examination has also been cancelled. In fact, it has been postponed rather. It was to be held tomorrow. Remember, this examination is meant for MBBS students taking the exam. And of course, all the mess around the NEET UG and now the NEET PG examination has also been postponed. In fact, what the government says is that this has been postponed as a precautionary step, given the fact that there were all these allegations of irregularities. In fact, the government says in its statement that the Ministry of Health has decided to undertake a thorough assessment of the robustness of the processes of the NEET PG entrance examination. This, of course, is the investigation around the NEET UG paper leak continues, and now the NEET PG examination has been postponed. This, of course, comes minutes after the National Testing Agency chief was sacked by the government. In fact, he's been replaced with an interim chief. My colleague Vasudha, in fact, I'm being told, is on the phone line with us. So, Vasudha, yet another key examination postponed. The government, in a sense, conceding, saying that, you know, the integrity of these examinations is in question, which is why, as a preemptive measure, or perhaps as a precautionary measure, the government has decided to postpone this examination meant for MBBS students. The NEET PG is a very crucial examination and perhaps considered one of the toughest competitive exams.
Absolutely, Vedant. And to just give you some context, there are around 228,000 students who take this examination. It was supposed to be held tomorrow, which is 23rd of June, across 278 centers in the country. And the ministry has, in fact, issued a statement saying that this decision to postpone this examination has been taken in the best interest of students and to also maintain the sanctity of the examination process. We've seen not just this controversy around NEET, but also UGC-NET examination being postponed, the results of CSIR NET exams getting delayed. So clearly, this comes in a series of several developments happening in the education sector, and the government also facing flack for it. But of course, the NTA chairperson has been sacked right now. A high-level committee has been put in place. But with regard to the PG examination of NEET, this is not conducted by the NTA. In fact, it is conducted by the National Board of Examination, which falls under medical examinations, which falls under the Health Ministry, not the Education Ministry. And in fact, if you look at the statement, the ministry clearly says that they have looked at all incidents of allegations regarding the integrity of competitive examinations, and this is to facilitate a thorough assessment of the processes that go through that are put in place, when an exam like this takes place, and that is why this is a precautionary measure. And of course, the ministry also says the fresh date of this examination will be notified at the earliest. This is in line with what the government has been saying with regard to not delaying the counselling process. Remember, it has to begin in the first week of July for the admission process to be in order. Of course, this is the latest from the Health Ministry, comes within hours of the NTA's chief being sacked by the government.
And also, Vasudha, this announcement coming really at the 11th hour, given the fact that the exam was supposed to be held tomorrow. This is a crucial medical examination. As you're pointing out, lakhs of medical graduates, in fact, medicine graduates were supposed to appear for this examination. There were over 300 cities where this exam was supposed to be held. So perhaps the protests are only going to intensify now, the anger over the entire exam system, given the fact that, hours ahead of the examination, a postponement announcement comes.
Of course, and these are, remember, this is the PG examination, Vedant, and we've seen voices that spoke during the cancellation of the UGC-NET examination, where they said that, these are students in their late 20s, sometimes also early 30s, and, these are also students who don't want to be dependent on their households and families forever. So there is a different kind of disappointment, and, these are also protesters who, feel that there is a lack of jobs, and then the exams also keep getting postponed. So clearly there is going to be a lot of disappointment, and with regard to tomorrow's examination, several leaders of different political parties, including Shashi Tharoor of the Congress, had said that this exam also needs to be postponed, but he had asked for the postponement for a very different reason, which was the heat wave, because a lot of students are also from Kerala, and certain parts of the country are reeling under this heat wave. So several leaders had basically asked for postponement, but of course this comes just, the students would have just gone to sleep, probably, getting ready for their exams tomorrow morning, and this announcement has just come right now.
Right, Vasudha, thanks very much for joining us with that. In fact, we should clarify it yet again and put it out there for all the candidates who were supposed to appear for this examination tomorrow, that the government has now notified that this examination, the NEET postgraduate examination, the NEET PG examination, has been postponed. Of course, admit cards, etc., were also, allotted, handed out by the government to students. Centers were allotted as well. And now, just hours before the examination, the government has decided to postpone, in fact, the NEET PG examination. Maria Shakil is also now live with us. So, Maria, you broke that story for us, that the NTA chief has been sacked, an unprecedented move truly by the government, and now the government has decided to postpone the NEET PG examination as well. So the government clearly very seriously looking at all the discrepancies and irregularities that have come to light and taking the entire matter extremely seriously and perhaps looking at an overhaul.
Yes, that's right. So the government is acting proactively. There's no doubt about it. So there is no NEET PG exam which will be held tomorrow. It was scheduled to be held tomorrow, so that has been postponed. Now what next? Does it mean that retest for all 24 lakh students, something which happened a few years ago, or will it be only retest, which was scheduled for tomorrow for 1,563 students of 4 specific states from where grace marks were given in those states, and those, from where there was some technical difficulties or anomalies which were reported. That is the big question that is before the government. What sources in the government are telling us is that expect another big order in an hour from now. So, the government is prepared. They are going on a complete overdrive now, trying to course correct, trying to really ensure that this entire lack of faith which the student community was displaying in the National Testing Agency, that it had failed as a body, it had failed as an organization, is restored. First, sacking of Subodh Kumar, who is 1997 batch IAS officer, someone who was seen as completely incapable of handling exams at this scale. And then the government going ahead and issuing that order that the NEET PG exam of the retest, which was supposed to happen, 1,563 students tomorrow, has been postponed. So certainly, what next? Does it mean that the government will be going to the Supreme Court in a couple of weeks from now, coming up with a full plan? They have taken action. Here, the action has been clear. The action has been loud and clear. Remember, the exam was to be held in 292 cities, and hence the government realizing that the only way forward is that there has to be course correction, and that's what they have done.
Absolutely, Mara. Thanks very much for that. In fact, over 2 lakh candidates were to appear for this examination, which is meant for, of course, MBBS graduates. But I'm being told Nikunj Garg, our senior managing editor, is also with us. So, Nikunj, an unprecedented move truly, with the government sacking the NTA chief. And, we have covered this story through and through, demanding accountability. And perhaps this is the first move towards fixing accountability.
Well, absolutely. And my sense is that, as Maria was saying, that this is just the first step in a series of steps that the government intends to take. Remember, in 24 hours from now, maybe slightly over 24 hours from now, the government will have to face its first parliamentary test. And that parliamentary test will come with a reduced majority. That parliamentary test will come with a bolstered opposition rank, and that parliamentary test will come with allied ministers in government. So this is not going to be as easy as it was in at least Narendra Modi II government to face the parliament. So quite clearly, it is my understanding of years of watching of government administrative businesses, all of this is being done at this juncture on a Saturday night with an eye to face the parliament. Now, government is well within its right to do that. There is absolutely nothing quarrelsome with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But the fact is that the government has now decided to crack the whip. And one thing absolutely becoming clear, that the admission on part of the government of omission and commission on part of the officials or the brass of the National Testing Agency is absolutely clear. The action that the government has taken of putting Mr. Subodh Kumar Singh, a Chhattisgarh cadre Indian Administrative Service officer of 1970 batch, 1997 batch, I beg your pardon, quite clearly makes it absolutely evident that there is something certainly amiss, that the government also believes in the conduct of the National Testing Agency. Quite clearly, that is a charge that the opposition, the students, the parents, the affected parties have been bringing on the National Testing Agency. Government, as the governments usually are, as the bureaucracies usually are, have been throwing a bit coy, and understandably so. It is not for the government to react in a huff or in a jiffy on such sensitive matters. Nonetheless, the speed of the event or the scale of the event, it is my understanding, once the government says that the Ministry of Home Affairs alerted them to a possible incursion into the systems of the National Testing Agency, has certainly seemed to have taken the government aback. The speed and the scale of the events are quite clearly unnatural, quite clearly unprecedented, quite clearly something that the administrative machinery of the Government of India is not prepared for, and quite clearly something that they are now firefighting with. So therefore, one has to keep in mind the fact that it is not every day that the exam papers of the top exams of the country, which means that the A-list exams of the country, are leaked, or the government have to deal or douse the fire on the administrative front of the back end of handling of these examinations, examiners or examinees. This is quite clearly an unprecedented situation, and I would say that this is a test at this point in time of the administrative acumen of the administrative ministry of the National Testing Agency, that is the Education Ministry, and they will have to handle this situation very, very deftly, because the crisis here is, Vedant, that this is not just about the administrative apparatus of the Government of India. On the other end, are lakhs and lakhs of examinees, and those examinees will probably show little or no patience as far as the cancellation or the postponement of these critical examinations. Remember, these are make or break career examinations of the students. These are not like 10 or, for that matter, even examinations are critical, but these are not like routine examinations. Children, parents, families spend lakhs and lakhs of rupees in preparation of these examinations. Many a times, students drop years preparing for these examinations. not just 1 year, but years in preparation of these examinations. So this is quite clearly a storm that is brewing and will need some very deft administrative, political, as well as the separate handling of the entire situation in terms of the education, in terms of the students' whole education career. So this I would say, as I have said in the past, this is no ordinary situation, and it would quite clearly require the government to marshal all the administrative and the political resources at its elbow to ensure that things do not spiral out of control as for now.
Nikunj, thanks very much for joining us with that. In fact, as Nikunj is reporting, the timing is significant as well, given the fact that it comes right ahead of the Parliament session. Thanks, Nikunj, for that. My colleagues Maria Shakil and Sunil Prabhu also continue to be with us. Maria, first to you. Looking at the fact that the government is leaving nothing to chance, which is why the NEET PG examination has also been cancelled. But let's remember that, these 2 lakh candidates that we're talking about as far as the NEET PG is concerned, they're not just students, they're MBBS doctors, in fact, who are often very overworked, and the syllabus for this NEET PG examination, if you look at it, is vast beyond belief. So to make this announcement at the 11th hour is only going to intensify the protests and outrage against the government.
Yes, that's right. But I think right now the government wants to ensure that the entire examination process is above board, because the National Testing Agency, which conducts these examinations, has been under the scanner. That it is an institution which has failed was the larger sentiment which had gone. And let's not forget, there was no guarantee that this particular examination and its papers, would not surface, or given the challenges that the government had with regards to NET, is something that would not happen in this particular case. With the NET exam, if you remember, Vedant, the government had to cancel it after the examination was held. 24 hours within the exam was held, the government had to go ahead and take that step. So perhaps this is better for the students and the doctors if the exam is cancelled, or not, if it is postponed much before it is going to be held, because they realize that the challenges are very different in nature, that the dark net and the dark web is actually ensuring that the entire examination preparations, or the logistical challenges that they have, has been thrown out of gear. And Mr. Subodh Kumar, who was the head of it, has not really foreseen the challenges and had not prepared the agency for this kind of possible malafide intentions with which the examinations were being, the examination issue, the challenges were being seen. So I think the larger issue certainly here is that the government wants to send this message right now that they are active. They have understood that there is this body which has not done its duty for 15 exams that it was supposed to conduct, that it has failed completely, and hence they have to fix it before the session begins, because the opposition had united with the students. They were raising legitimate questions along with the students. Education Minister, when he held the press conference for the first time, he said that I take responsibility, I take moral responsibility. For him to say those words in itself was an indication that it was only a matter of time that the action would be taken against those who were being seen as not doing their duties and responsibilities properly, which included Mr. Subodh Singh, who was the DG NTA.
Maria, thanks very much for that. In fact, as Maria is pointing out, the government being proactive here and sort of taking preemptive measures. Sunil Prabhu, our senior colleague, is also with us. So, Sunil sir, this also comes ahead of that crucial hearing in the Supreme Court on the 8th of July. The Supreme Court has made it clear that it will, take a look at all aspects as far as, this entire controversy is concerned, whether it's a paper leak aspect or all the other petitions that have been admitted by the Supreme Court. So, of course, in that aspect as well, the government making sure that it has a plan of action.
That's right. It has a plan of action. And this, of course, comes from the direction by no less than the Prime Minister. After that cabinet meeting, we have seen a series of steps that have been taken. It's in that context that the NTA had made it absolutely clear that there has been no wrongdoing to the Supreme Court. And petition after petition for nearly 8 to 10 days on a regular basis, every day in the Supreme Court vacation bench have been listed. And heartrending petitions from brothers, from sisters, from candidates who have been petitioning and saying that there has been discrepancy. Finally, the government has acted. Today, they have removed the Director General NTA. They have replaced him with a senior retired IAS officer who's of the rank of the Cabinet Secretary to really look into the matter and get cracking, as well as a high-level committee. For those who are expecting, for example, whether they're going to cancel the entire, NET exam, that's not happening immediately for the professional courses. There's 1563 students who will go to do the examination tomorrow. Those who wanted to contest those results, that provision will be allowed in the 6 centers because that's a directive from the Supreme Court. So please be clear. But a final decision on that, unless the NTA decides unilaterally to cancel that exam and reconduct it again for the 24 lakh students, which the minister said was initially only the tip of the, that there was nothing wrong, that only 1563 students had been done. Now we'll have to wait and see, in the light of the fact that there is a new DG NTA, a review is being done by a high-level committee, whether they plan to redo this exam for doctors, aspiring doctors who want to get into the medical field, whether they'll redo it again. It's 24 lakh students. There's been a request and plea for stay of counselling, which will start on the 6th of July. But the NPA has made it clear that we will, when the Supreme Court does hear it on the 8th of July, there'll be ample opportunity for others to look into the entire issue. So we'll have to wait and watch and see what happens. This is partly political, partly sub judice, partly judicial, as well as, of course, administration. It's a mix of all true. And at the heart of it is the trauma for those students who are facing traumatic scenes, be it postgraduate doctors who are waiting to do super specialization, be it NET professors. This is clearly a very, very sorry state of affairs that in a country like ours, the largest democracy, students have to suffer to get into professional colleges or to get into, to do the UGC-NET, or for that matter, even if it's a National Board of Examination, which comes under the Health Ministry, if they're postponing, that means there have been serious breaches which the government will have to explain.
Absolutely. And as you said, at the heart of it is the trauma suffered by students who've been out on the streets for the past week or so. In fact, more than a week, demanding justice, demanding a fair evaluation, a fair examination. But, just for some context, sir, is there any precedent to this? Because this truly seems like an unprecedented move by the government to sack its own agency chief, the Director General of the National Testing Agency. So the government clearly has taken this entire situation. The situation, of course, has gone out of hand for the government to, sort of do damage control at this point.
Well, we are in uncharted waters because the NTA is a new concept. This was recently started. And it's been from 2018. So these are definitely, new bodies which will have to wait and see. Have there been precedents? Yes, there have been precedents of exams being cancelled. There have been, for example, CBSE 12th standard exam being cancelled, where the Prime Minister himself has said that he was unhappy with the decision for, cancelling the exam and the fact that the paper was leaked. These were many years ago. Within this present Modi government. So there have been, instances that have taken place. It's not that this is a knee-jerk reaction, but of this scale, of this magnitude, of the fact that on a daily basis we're hearing in the Supreme Court, the fact that students are on the streets and their voice has been finally heard. Student unions, student movements have really been able to cross home the point. And these are complaints, Vedant, which have not started today. Or yesterday, or the last week, or the last year. This has been going on for some time. Parents and students have been talking about this trauma. It's only that this year, ahead of the elections, has this trauma been amplified to such an extent that heads are rolling.
Sunil sir, thanks very much for joining us with that. As Sunil sir is pointing out, absolutely sorry state of affairs there, but the government taking, sort of a preemptive move, deciding to sack the NTA chief, truly an unprecedented move. But of course, as our reporters have been also pointing out, at the heart of this story are the students. In fact, we'll be joined on the other side of the break by two such aspirants to sort of get their reactions. Is this enough? Is this too little, too late? For now, a short break. This remains our top focus on NDTV.
Get ready for the ride of your life. NDTV brings you the NDTV Auto Show with me, Mugdha Mishra. From the fastest supercars to the sleekest new energy vehicles to your trusted daily ride, we cover it all. Every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7. Your next great escape starts here.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the topmost news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
स्मार्ट से याद आया, स्मार्टफोन्स हम सभी देखते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, this has the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8s Gen 3 which is based on 4nm. आपने सुना होगा ना अक्सर ऐसा 4nm, 5nm, 3nm. What is this nm if I were to tell you? Well, पता है क्या है? यहाँ पे nm is a nanometer. It's basically a unit of length.
Welcome back. The big story we are tracking at this hour continuously on NDTV, the great Indian exam mess. And well, parallel developments happening. Of course, the government has decided to sack the NTA chief, the National Testing Agency Director General. And amid all of this, the NEET PG examination has also been postponed. The government says that this is in the interests of the students and the candidates who are going to appear for this examination tomorrow, because various allegations of irregularities regarding the NEET UG examination have already surfaced. I'm being joined by Ashna Jain, who's a NEET UG aspirant, also Harshit Tripathi, UGC-NET aspirant. Thanks very much, both of you, for joining us on NDTV at this hour. Ashna, first to you. One of the demands that was being made by the students who were protesting on the ground was an overhaul of the NTA. The fact that you guys had come forward and said that, we don't trust the NTA chief, we don't trust the NTA anymore, which is why there needs to be an overhaul. Are you satisfied with what the government has decided to do to sack the NTA chief?
Yes, I am very much happy by this decision to sack the NTA chief. And today the Supreme Court has also passed a law regarding strict punishment for cheaters and those who leak paper. So it is also a very good move by the Supreme Court.
It was actually the government that notified that law, that anti-paper leak law that you're talking about. In fact, Harshit, let me get in a response from you also. How do you see this move? The UGC-NET exam that was cancelled, that also came as a huge shocker to all the students, the lakhs of students who were to appear for that examination. But the fact that the government has decided to do something that is unprecedented, its own top official has now been sacked by the government. Do you see this as a welcome move?
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy that at least government is working and doing something in this regard. First of all, but the thing is that merely changing the NTA chief is not sufficient. He should have been booked, arrested, and given the third degree to take out the truth. Why the managing director of the agency was outsourced is allowed to flee and evade from the investigation, who is behind his escape. When the education minister will be sacked to ensure free and fair investigation, why not everyone involved is arrested swiftly, investigated, and bring out the truth? So it is a matter of lakhs of students. So I think this is the thing that should also be done by the government. But at least I am happy that government is doing something and it's taking first step. And in fact, the law is coming. So we are hopeful that something is going to happen in future for sure.
So it is a welcome move, as you say, but not enough. In fact, Ashna Jain, talk to us a little bit about, the past 2 weeks, because I have covered this story from the ground as well. Seeing students on the ground relentlessly demanding justice, running from pillar to post, demanding justice, demanding a fair examination. Talk to us about how these past 2 weeks have been, because this is perhaps a result of the kind of outrage and the kind of student protests that we have seen across the country.
These 2 weeks were very hard for me. It was a very stressful period. Means I could say that I was not this much stressed during the NEET exam. As much now I am stressed after the results. I expect that re-NEET should not happen for all the students, because it is very unfair to us. There was immense amount of pressure on us when we were undergoing the exam.
Okay, we seem to have lost that line with Ashna. We'll try and reconnect with her. But the point that she's... Okay, go ahead, Ashna. Yeah.
And now today, most of the students are not in the state to undergo that amount of pressure again. So I expect the Supreme Court should make justice. And if the Supreme Court gives the verdict in favor of re-NEET, so at least we should be given enough time, at least 1 month, to prepare for re-exam.
Okay, and of course there are conflicting opinions about whether there should be a re-NEET or not, and all of that. Now the Supreme Court will hear that all those petitions together on the 8th of July, 2 days after the counselling process was supposed to begin. But Harshit, the fact of the matter is that the students' future, that continues to hang in the balance. The fact that you have lakhs of students who are still uncertain about what their future is going to be like, particularly the UGC-NET aspirants, because while the NEET issue, the investigation has begun, the Bihar police has also arrested a few people and that probe is on. For the UGC-NET students, there's still no clarity. But do you think the government is moving at least in the right direction and looking at some sort of an overhaul of the testing agency? And does that sort of reassure you that the government is moving in the right direction?
Ma'am, I think partially say this thing that government is moving in a right direction, because this is the first step by the government. Let us wait for the further steps what government will be taking. First of all, I think the government should announce the date of the exam also, because date is also very important for a situation in which the student is very uncertain about its future, whether he know that the exam will be conducted, but when it will be conducted, whether it will be conducted in this month only or in the coming months, and which agency is going to conduct, and what will be the new rules and regulations for the examination. Will there be any fees charging, etc., and any other thing will be there. So we are waiting for that also, that there should be a notification from the side of Education Ministry that what will be the future in the sense of conducting the examination.
So a date should be announced, as soon as possible. And, as you said that, the future of the students should not be played with. But Ashna, if you look at what's happened with NEET PG, do you think it's a move that is justified, given the fact that the government says that the kind of irregularities and discrepancies that have surfaced, it's better to sort of take precautionary measures rather than conducting an examination and then cancelling it. So what has happened with the NEET PG examination, do you think it's a justified move on the part of the government?
Yes, of course, it's a good move. It's a justified move, because I think the government is now serious regarding conducting exams. They also cancelled UGC-NET just after the day when the exam was conducted, and now they postponed NEET PG. There must be some valid reason for it. There might be paper leak news or any other news for NEET PG also. So I think it's a very good move for PG students.
That's an important point you're making there, that, it's better to sort of take precautionary measures than to conduct an examination and that mammoth exercise and then cancel, the entire examination process and sort of conduct a re-examination. So that, it's something that you think is a welcome move. Harshit, as far as you're concerned, I asked the same question of Ashna as well. the fact that students took to the streets across the country, particularly, here in the national capital, students have relentlessly been on the ground demanding justice, and that perhaps has prompted the government to look at some sort of an overhaul of the testing agency. Do you see this as some sort of a win as a student community?
Yeah, exactly. This is the one of the reason that government is taking actions in hurry now, because students are uniting, they are protesting, and that is the need of an hour at this time.
Absolutely. Ashna and Harshit, thanks very much for joining us with your reactions there. We sincerely hope that there is some clarity, some certainty as far as, your futures are concerned. Your careers, of course, are at stake. But thanks very much for speaking to NDTV at this crucial hour. So, of course, it's a developing story, multiple angles to be looked at. You have the government sacking the NTA chief. You have the government postponing the NEET PG examination. Also important to clarify here that the NEET PG examination comes under the Ministry of Health and not the Ministry of Education, which is why the Ministry of Health has gone ahead and issued this statement saying that the government has taken note of the kind of irregularities that have surfaced as far as the NEET UG examination is concerned, and it's only in the best interest of the students that the government decides to cancel, postpone, perhaps, and not cancel the NEET PG examination. Remember, as we've been reporting, this examination was supposed to be held across 300 cities for over 2 lakh candidates. The NEET PG examination, one of the toughest competitive exams that was to be undertaken by MBBS graduates, in fact. The already doctors who are looking to go into super speciality, who were supposed to take this key examination tomorrow, and just hours ahead of this examination, the government has decided to postpone it, keeping in mind the paper leak and the various alleged irregularities and discrepancies that have come to light. Remember, as far as the NEET PG examination is concerned, the admit cards were given as well, the centers were allotted, and that entire exercise was already done, and now the government has decided to postpone it. And of course, the other big developing story is what the government is doing vis-a-vis the National Testing Agency. The NTA Director General has been sacked. Developing story there, a lot of anger, a lot of outrage on the ground. This remains our top focus on NDTV for now. A short break.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. "10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India, one world hygiene.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live. Listen
Welcome back. Our big focus on NDTV at this hour, the great Indian examination mess, and it's only spiraling now with the government now deciding to sack the National Testing Agency boss. In fact, he's been replaced. An interim arrangement has been made. This, of course, comes 2 days, perhaps less than 2 days ahead of the all-important Parliament session as well, and also the crucial Supreme Court hearing that happens on the 8th of July, 2 days after the counselling process for the NEET UG examination was supposed to be held. This amid also the government's move to postpone the NEET PG examination. Now, this is the NEET postgraduate examination that we're talking about. That has been postponed as well. This is a preemptive move by the government as a precautionary measure. The government has decided to postpone or put on hold the NEET PG examination. Maria Shakil is now alive with us. So, Maria, you know, a lot of the students' reactions that we're getting in, they say that, you know, this is a welcome move because they have been demanding an overhaul of the National Testing Agency. They said that they have no trust whatsoever in the testing body, and now, of course, they're at least reassured that the government is moving in the right direction of fixing accountability.
Yes, so the accountability is being fixed here. So the message that is coming certainly is that there were problems and the National Testing Agency requires the much needed overhaul. And more so, it requires, heads must roll right from the top. The sacking of the Director General of National Testing Agency is a message that is coming. I think it's also an acknowledgement that Subodh Kumar was incapable of handling the responsibilities which were given to him, which is very clear that he was not the right man for this job. Why was he given that position is for another day, perhaps, to discuss. But educationists have been demanding that this structure of NTA was not the right structure, that this NTA should have been little more about educationists and those who have been conducting exams at this scale, and they should have been, participant in it, in ensuring that when a body of this nature, an overarching umbrella body is created, that if it functions, then it will ensure that overall examination systems are fixed. Remember that purpose of NTA and the objective was very different with which it was framed. It was not what we are seeing at present. The flaws that have come out in the public domain, that multiple cancellations, multiple paper leak, is something completely unacceptable. And NTA, the chinks in its armors were coming out in the public domain. And what has happened, hours within, the High Committee was formed to look into the structural challenges and also the data security protocol. I think that's going to be the big takeaway, and understanding that was NTA not prepared for the new age challenges, that these papers could be leaked to a dark web and on a Telegram, and then the students would get access to it. Because of the scale and the sheer sheer stakes that are involved here, the government going ahead and realizing that the only way that they can answer to the political opponents, because the opposition was seeking answers, and rightly so, from Rahul Gandhi to other leaders in the opposition, they were demanding action from the government. They were demanding as to what the government has done. The government was under pressure. It was in seeking that explanation from within as well, and hence this move. I think if you look at it, sequence of events, not just NEET but also NET, and then the exam which was postponed yesterday, and now NEET PG exams being postponed. All this is showcasing that NTA as a body has failed, and that is the reason why the much needed reforms have to be brought in.
That's a very important point you're making there, Maria, that heads have to roll from the top, which is why the government has decided to sack the man right on the top, the Director General of the National Testing Agency, who of course had come out initially and spoken to the media as well. But the Education Minister has been clear, since the beginning, saying that he takes moral responsibility. In fact, Maria, if I can ask you exactly that, the suggestion seems to be that this has come right from the top, from the panel headed by no less than the Prime Minister. So the direction certainly from the top of the government also is that, accountability needs to be fixed right away, and that, whatever flaws there are as far as the NTA is concerned, they need to be fixed as well. And, which is why the government is leaving nothing to chance. Even all the examinations that were slated, they've been put on hold, like the NEET PG examination.
Yes, so I can see some students here, and I'm going to take those questions also to the students. Vedant, continue to be with us, because these students have been on multiple panels, holding discussions, seeking answers. Do you feel now that that you will have faith in this agency, that much needed reforms in the coming few days will ensure that you can have that faith that when you enter the examination hall, it will ensure much needed transparency? That's the question to the students. Please go ahead.
Go ahead, Ashna and Harshit. Mara wants to ask you if now that faith has been restored to an extent, at least, that when you walk into an examination hall, you'd feel that, your careers are in the right hands. Do you see this as a step in the right direction? Ashna, first to you, and then Harshit.
No, not to that extent, but now government is moving in right direction, I guess. It has at least taken first step towards it. So as an agency, NTA I can't trust, but they have fired the directors, so to some extent we can trust it, but not to that extent that I can give retest and I can ensure myself that the paper is being conducted in a fair manner.
Harshit, your response?
If I talk about the decision taken by the NTA and the government right now, we are partially satisfied, not completely satisfied with this decision, because अभी तक इन लोगों ने खाली यही चीज बताया है कि हमने उनको रिमूव करा है एंड एक नया लॉ लेके आए हैं। तो अभी स्टूडेंट्स को बहुत ज्यादा, नेट के स्टूडेंट्स की अगर आप बात करेंगे तो दे आर वेरी अनसर्टेन अबाउट देयर फ्यूचर डेट्स एंड एग्जाम्स एंड ऑल, क्या होने वाला है आगे। एंड फर्स्ट स्टेप ले रही है गवर्नमेंट, एटलीस्ट वी आर हैप्पी, लिटिल हैप्पी अबाउट दिस स्टेप कि आगे जाकर के कुछ शायद अच्छा हो, और भी स्टेप्स हैं, और इन एक्शन गवर्नमेंट नजर आ रही है, बिकॉज स्टूडेंट्स यूनाइट हो रहे हैं, प्रोटेस्ट हो रहा है काफी ज्यादा। इफ आई टॉक अबाउट द वर्किंग ऑफ NTA, तो यहाँ पर स्टूडेंट्स का एक ये भी डाउट है, या एक क्वेश्चन ये भी है कि आप जो पुराने चीफ हैं उनको हटा रहे हैं, बट आई थिंक उन पर जो ट्रांसपेरेंसी है उन पर भी होनी चाहिए, कि उनकी भी अकाउंटेबिलिटी फिक्स होनी चाहिए, कि क्या उनका इन्वॉल्वमेंट कहाँ है, उन्होंने क्या करा है, या फिर उनकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी क्या थी, वो अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी क्यों नहीं निभा पाए इस चीज का, बिकॉज वो प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में भी पार्ट थे। तो आई थिंक उनसे भी क्वेश्चनिंग करनी चाहिए, उनको भी इस चीज के लिए, केवल हटा देने से कुछ नहीं होगा, हटा देने से इस लाइक कि आप उनको उस चीज से, उस लूप से बाहर कर रहे हैं। तो अब नए जो आएंगे उनकी तरफ अटेंशन शिफ्ट हो जाएगा, और पुराने पर कोई भी अकाउंटेबिलिटी की बात नहीं आएगी। तो आई थिंक उनको भी एक बार देखना चाहिए, उस चीज पर भी गवर्नमेंट को ध्यान देना चाहिए, एंड स्टूडेंट फीडबैक सिस्टम को लेते हुए आगे जाकर के NTA को इम्प्रूवमेंट्स करने चाहिए इस चीज। तो वी आर हैप्पी कि देयर आर सम स्ट्रक्चरल चेंजेस, but we are hoping for some more changes also.
Harshit and Ashna, thanks very much for joining us with your reactions there. Certainly some sort of a win for the student community, which has been out on the streets. In fact, it's you guys that have really prompted the government to take such an unprecedented step. Thanks very much for that. Maria, what the students said also extremely important, that while some sort of reassurance, there's still a long way to go. And what is the indication from your sources within the government? This seems to be like just the beginning.
Yes, that's right. In fact, I was told by a senior government functionary that expect more orders, expect more decisions. So certainly they are realizing that the anger of the student community has made the government act. I would say that. It is these students who were persistent, who were constantly raising concerns, who were constantly talking about how the government was failing them, how the body or the NTA has failed to, address their concerns, address the important issues that they were raising. And hence, I think they have gone ahead and taken that action. But yes, overall, Vedant, I would say that this is the way forward in terms of how this is the only way the government could have, saved itself or ensured that the student community would have faith in this body. Because of this body, which conducts 15 examinations, it's for teachers, it's for postgraduates, it's for medical entrance examination, and the stakes of students, the lives of students are at stake here. That's the reason why the student community, when they took that issue to the Supreme Court, they were very, very disappointed. They are in dilemma even today. They don't know whether it will be only the retest of those 1,563 students, or whether there would be a retest of all 24 lakh, as it had happened in the past, because earlier there was no acceptance that there was paper leak, but now the paper leak confession statements are in the public domain. The FIRs have been filed that there was an incident of paper leak in Bihar and also in Gujarat. So the government had much to explain. But now, over the last 48 hours, we are seeing a very, very proactive government, which is now going all out to do course correction, which is also going all out to ensure that the student community has faith in their decision making, and hence series of decisions which have been taken in the last 24 hours.
Absolutely, Maria. And as you pointed out, the government has certainly been extremely proactive in the past 48 hours. An expert panel was also formed, and just hours after that, the NTA DG has been removed. Maria continues to be with us. Continue to be with us because you've broken this very important story here on NDTV. Vasudha Venugopal is also live with us. So, Vasudha, looking at the NEET PG examination as well, because there is a lot of interest around that as well, given the fact that this announcement to postpone that examination has come just hours ahead of that examination. It was supposed to be held across 300 cities, across hundreds of centers, lakhs of students, were supposed to appear for this examination. But the government clearly leaving nothing to chance this time, given the fact that so many alleged irregularities have now come to light.
Absolutely, Vedant, and I think this appears to be a crackdown on all wrongdoers. And like Maria was also saying, that we have seen a lot of proactiveness from the government, but that apart, of course, this is also going to lead to a lot of disappointment among students. We've heard voices from the ground saying that when the UGC-NET examination got postponed, these are students in their late 20s, early 30s who are hoping to not be dependent on their families forever, who are hoping to strike out on their own. And NEET PG examination is considered amongst the toughest examinations in India, because it also decides admissions to various specializations of medical seats. So clearly there are very limited seats, and there's almost there's a lot of competition for these seats, and it's also about the best kind of doctors that we get. So clearly this is considered amongst the toughest examinations in India, apart from JEE. So that examination was supposed to be held tomorrow on the 23rd, on the same day as the retest of NEET UG examination that fell into a lot of controversy. And like we saw leaders such as Shashi Tharoor asking for this NEET PG examination to be postponed for a very different reason called the heat wave. But clearly this was sort of unexpected. But at the same time, it is in line with what is happening. We saw the postponement of the UGC-NET examination. We saw the postponement of CSIR-NET examination, which of course ministry officials have said has nothing to do with any speculations of leak, and it has more to do with logistics. And now, of course, the NEET PG examination, which was supposed to be taken by 228,000 students across 276 centers in the country. So clearly it is an online format where students reach different centers and take this examination. There's a lot of speculation, and of course the counseling process also takes place. Of course, ministry has said that a thorough assessment will be done. This is under Health Ministry. It is not by NTA, but this is done by National Board of Medical Examinations. So clearly, it's not just NTA under question, but whole exam, the processes that go into competitive examinations that are being looked into. Ministry, of course, has said that a future date, a later date will be announced, intimated as soon as possible at the earliest. And of course, ministry, while apologizing for the inconvenience, has said that this is in interest of the student. So clearly we'll have to wait and watch as to what happens. But somehow there seems to be a feeling that there is some proactiveness with respect to cracking down on what is happening with exam networks across the country.
Vasudha, thanks very much for joining us with that. Of course, a lot is at stake, as Vasudha is pointing out. These are doctors extremely overworked, and the kind of syllabus that they have to sort of go through, the kind of curriculum that they have is really sort of vast beyond belief, as I've said earlier as well. But Maria, the probe as far as the irregularities, the alleged irregularities is concerned, that probe is happening on multiple levels. You have the Bihar Economic Offences Wing probing the paper leak as well. So it's clearly the entire examination system that is now under scanner. Is the government receiving inputs constantly from multiple levels as we investigate what went wrong with these key exams?
Yes, that's right. And if you remember, Vedant, when the NET exam was cancelled, they said that the inputs were received from the Ministry of Home Affairs.
Yes.
That these papers were there on the dark web, the dark net. So the government, of course, is receiving inputs from several state police as well. With regards to NEET, it is coming from Bihar police, which has been asking for the NTA for papers, the question papers, so that they can match the papers which were received by them, which they found during raids, which of course are burnt papers, but they say that they can match it forensically. But the NTA was not responding. The NTA, in all those steps, every time the Bihar police asked for details from NTA, they had gone on to say that there's no evidence to suggest that there's paper leak. Because in the Supreme Court, they were giving a different picture altogether. That in the Supreme Court, they were talking essentially about grace marks. That in the Supreme Court, they were essentially talking about the moment the first day of hearing was held of those petitions which were filed by the students seeking transparency and questioning the arbitrary manner in which the grace marks were given, the NTA said, I would order retest for 1,563 students. These are students coming from 4 states, which are states of Punjab, Delhi, Chhattisgarh, and Haryana. But there were reports. In fact, there were several educationists who were of the opinion that not just students, which are these 1,563 students who are expected to take retest, there were several of them who had received retest emails and they do not belong to these states. So the student community was raising questions about the manner in which the NTA had functioned and that they were not presenting the real picture. That how did this paper get leaked? On what basis? First, they did not really accept that there was a paper leak at all. So did the ministry. They were constantly saying that there's no evidence of paper leak. But now that evidence is in the public domain. There is evidence that there has been paper leak with regards to NEET, which has been investigated, which is an ongoing investigation in Bihar and also in Gujarat. So with these kind of details coming out in the public domain, and I think it was almost becoming impossible for the government to defend this national testing agency. And it's, constant failures, not one, but multiple ones. Paper leaks, cancellations, postponements. Why were they happening? Because there were logistical challenges which had not been foreseen by them. There were challenges related to data security and protocol which they had not foreseen. So if the agency was failing at multiple levels, what could have been done except for rolling the head, except for ensuring that there is visible action. And the only visible action was sacking of NTA boss, which has happened.
Maria and Vasudha, thanks very much for joining us with that. Of course, as Maria is pointing out, the NTA failed on multiple levels spectacularly. At this, of course, sort of a visible action being taken by the government in a sense, in a bid to reassure students who've been on the streets demanding justice, demanding a fair examination. And of course, multiple parallel developments happening now with, of course, also the postponement of the NEET PG examination. This remains our top focus on NDTV. For now, short break.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
The testing body boss sacked amid the examination mess. A panel headed by the Prime Minister sacked the NTA chief. The government cracked the whip on the testing body amid outrage. It's a Bihar solver gang that's behind the NEET paper leak. The police suspect links to repeat offender Ravi Atri. The government mulls bringing petrol, diesel under GST. Finance Minister says it's up to states to decide on the fuel GST. Government forms a panel for fair conduct of examinations, a 7-member panel to review exam safety.
Okay, so guys, there we have it. Now this is the best and my personal favorite section. आपको पता है, it's called Ask TG, and यहाँ पे my responsibility is to answer all your questions जो भी आपने पूछे होते हैं अलग-अलग अपने gadgets के बारे में. I'll give you all the answers. Let's see the kind of questions we have for this week's episode. I mean, okay, I'll give you a very basic answer, brother, which is to just go and check into the sync settings of your phone. अगर आप जब S7 यूज कर रहे थे उस टाइम पे सब कुछ sync हो रहा था and now you have moved to S21 and it's not working, आप अपने फ़ोन की settings में जाइए, वहाँ पे आपका जो भी particular account है, for example if it's Outlook or maybe it's the Google account, उस पे टैप करने के बाद में आप देख सकते हैं कि क्या क्या चीज़ें sync हो रही हैं या क्या क्या चीज़ें sync नहीं हो रही हैं. It's very easy, maybe it's off, वहाँ पे वो sync नहीं हो रहा है and that's the reason कि आपको अपने Outlook अकाउंट में आपके जो कॉन्टैक्ट्स वगैरह हैं या कैलेंडर जो डिटेल्स वगैरह हैं वो नहीं दिखाई दे रही हैं. तो जस्ट टर्न ऑन दैट सिंक एंड उसके बाद में आपका जो मोबाइल फ़ोन का जो भी कंटेंट है वो इजीली सिंक हो जाएगा विद योर आउटलुक.
Do home appliances stop working or trip in peak summers due to heat? Is it a cause of concern when this happens?
See, yes, it depends because sometimes if you talk about excessive heating, मतलब जहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा टेम्परेचर बढ़ चुका है और आप जानते हैं कि कोई भी अगर अप्लायंस होगा while it's working, वहाँ पे भी आपको टेम्परेचर बढ़ता हुआ दिखाई देता है. And let's say you talk about an air conditioner जहाँ पे एक आउटडोर यूनिट है, वो ऑलरेडी धूप में है, बहुत ज़्यादा गर्मी है एंड वो भी लगातार काम कर रही है, तो अंडर सर्टेन सिनेरियोज यू माइट फेस दिस इशू कि जो आपके अप्लायंसेस हैं वो ठीक से काम ना करें जैसा अज्यूम कर रहे हैं कि वो काम करेंगे. हो सकता है वो प्रॉपर फंक्शनैलिटी आपको ना दें या हो सकता है काम करना बंद कर दें या खराब हो जाएं. एक्सट्रीम टेम्परेचर्स में दिस इज डेफिनेटली अ पॉसिबिलिटी.
Do hard drives stop working if you don't use them for a long time? I have a hard drive that just won't work. I'm using it after 6 years.
See, I would recommend कि आप अगर एक हार्ड ड्राइव यूज़ करते हैं ना, you periodically plug it in और आप उसको यूज़ करते रहें because 6 years to be honest is a long time duration. Second thing is because hard drives they are a mechanical device जहाँ पे moving parts होते हैं, चीज़ें spin करती हैं, तो हो सकता है over time because of dust या maybe some other breakdowns.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024,
This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello, Moto.
The NEET PG entrance examination postponed. The government says the examination has been postponed as a precautionary measure. The NEET PG entrance will now not be held on Sunday. A new date will soon be notified. Amid the NEET fiasco, the government moves into blunting criticism. The panel headed by the Prime Minister removes the NTA chief. The testing agency chief dropped amid the examination mess. Meanwhile, the government forms a panel for fair conduct of examination. A 7-member expert panel will be reviewing examination safety. This government action comes as 4 key examinations now under scanner. The Bihar solver gang behind the NEET paper leak. Police suspect links to repeat offender mastermind Ravi Atri, who's lodged in the Meerut jail. NDTV investigates a NEET paper leak nexus. The Tamil Nadu Hooch tragedy kills 50 people, over 50 people in fact. The key accused has now been held. The BJP protests against Chief Minister M.K. Stalin across the state. The human cost of the tragedy, kids orphaned and families left without their breadwinners. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV. I'm Vedant Agarwal. Big focus on NDTV, the great Indian examination mess. And heads now rolling with the government deciding to sack the NTA chief. But another key examination has now been postponed, and that is a NEET postgraduate examination. This, of course, comes amid various alleged irregularities as far as the NEET UG examination is concerned. The government says this is a preemptive move, and as a precautionary measure, the Health Ministry has decided to postpone this key examination, which of course was to be undertaken by lakhs of MBBS graduates on Sunday. So this examination will not be held on Sunday. My colleague Vasudha Venugopal, who broke the story for us, is joining us live. So Vasudha, the government surely leaving nothing to chance and making sure that till the time that trust and integrity is intact, no new examination is held. At least that's what seems to be the indication, with the NEET PG examination now postponed.
That's right, Vedant, and like you were mentioning, NEET PG examination is also one of the toughest examinations that students in India take. It was supposed to be held tomorrow, 23rd of June, and coincidentally on the same day that the retest for those students who, who had grace marks, were given grace marks as part of the controversial NEET UG examination is to be held. And there were around 228,000 who had registered for this test. This was supposed to be an online test at various examination centers. Some 276 centers were supposed to hold this examination, and in the midst of this, just hours before the candidates the aspirants get up and go to their exam centers, the Health Ministry has announced that this exam will not be taking place. Remember that several people had talked about the postponement of it because there's a heat wave going on in the country, but clearly this was in some ways unexpected. But given that the UGC-NET examination was also postponed a few days ago, the CSIR NET examination also got postponed, which of course the ministry clarified had nothing to do with speculations of paper leak, but had to do with logistic issues. But clearly now there are many exams that the center will have to hold. Specifically with regard to the NEET PG examination, this is to do with MBBS post-graduation, the post-graduation seats of the medical courses that are available across the country. Unlike the NEET UG examination that is conducted by NTA, this is conducted by the National Board for Medical Examinations. It comes under the Health Ministry. So Health Ministry has put out the statement apologizing for this, and of course has said that the step is being taken in the interest of students. Later date will be announced at the earliest, and that a thorough assessment is being done on all the processes that are being that are part of this whole conduct of competitive examinations. But of course, the statement also makes a mention of the prevalent ongoing controversies and speculations around and the allegations around NEET examinations as well. So clearly there seems to be some proactive effort, but remember, this is coming just 2 days before the parliament session begins. In fact, it's on Monday that the 18th Lok Sabha will convene for the first time. So the opposition is actually armed with a lot of ammunition, so specifically with regard to youth issues, and this is only going to add fodder to that kind of attack also. So clearly this is coming at a very critical time for the government, but clearly the government seems to be with the committee that was formed with people like Randeep Guleria and also Professor Mittal, and then of course the NTA chief being sacked, and now this another big exam being postponed. Clearly there seems to be something in the works with respect to the government, and it seems to be a multi-ministerial approach, not just with the Education Ministry, because the exam that got postponed, NEET PG, comes under the Health Ministry. So clearly there seems to be a multi-ministerial effort being taken to ensure that there is some crackdown on repeat offenders, just like you were pointing out.
Absolutely, Vasudha. And before I let you go, as I asked earlier as well, was there any specific input with regard to the NEET PG examination? Because what the government seems to suggest is that, they don't want to take any chance as far as, the integrity of these key examinations are concerned, which is why the government found it, sort of better to hold the examination and postpone the examination rather than going through that mammoth exercise and then cancelling an examination. Was there any specific input that was received? What are your sources telling you?
Well, my sources are saying that the government is being very proactive on this front, and it is looking at a lot of repeat offenders. It's also looking at possibilities of papers being leaked in the dark web, which is what happened with respect to the NEET NET UGC examination. And remember, there is a certain similarity between the UGC-NET examination, the PG examination of NEET. Well, of course, that's one is taken by 9 lakh students, and the exam that was supposed to be held tomorrow, NEET PG, was supposed to be taken by 2,28,000 students. So, of course, there is a difference of scale, but both are exams being taken by students who have finished with their graduation. So clearly there is a certain similarity there. What I'm told by my sources is that there is a multi-ministerial probe that is going on, which we details of which we really don't know, because one of that has already been handed over to the CBI. But clearly the government seems to be walking on eggshells, at the same time ensuring that it is making a note of repeat offenders and is talking to states also on that count.
Vasudha, thanks very much for joining us with that update there. So the NEET PG examination will not be held on Sunday. The government says it's in the best interest of the students that it's decided to postpone the examination. But moving now to the big development that has happened in this entire exam fiasco, and that is that the government has decided to sack the NTA Director General, the top man. Of course, the students who have been protesting out in the streets have said that they have no trust whatsoever as far as the National Testing Agency is concerned, which is why the government moving fast to fix accountability. And now the NTA Director General has been sacked, he's been dropped, and an interim arrangement has been made. This also comes just 2 days ahead of the important Parliament session. My colleague Mara Shakil, who broke the story, is now live with us. So Mara, clearly this is just seems to be the tip of the iceberg, the government looking at some sort of an overhaul of the National Testing Agency.
Yes, that's right. And improving the security protocol, the data security protocol, changing the entire structure and functioning of the National Testing Agency. Remember, Vedant, the government was finding it difficult to defend NTA. After the education minister actually went ahead and said that there has been institutional failure and he takes moral responsibility, it was only a matter of time that heads will roll, that action will be taken. And the only concrete action that could have been taken was action against the National Testing Agency. Mr. Subodh, who was the DG NTA, was incapable of handling, was the view among the educationists, that in the last few months and years, there have been multiple instances of paper leak. Only recently, NET had to be cancelled within 24 hours of the exams because the paper, because there were reports that came out, the Ministry of Home Affairs had given those details. Then today, PG NEET had to be cancelled, postponed, I would say. There were reports of another exam cancelled yesterday because of logistical challenges. So the challenges that were being, faced were at multiple levels, which only showcase that this body was failing in its purpose, in its agenda, in its objective, and hence the action against DG NTA, who the educationists and also the government now acknowledges in many ways, was not able to foresee the challenges, be it the darknet, paper leak, logistical challenges and others, and hence functionally it was a failed body, and hence this action, and it's coming in almost a matter of time, in matter of 24 to 48 hours. First, a high-level empowered body which is set up, which is headed by the chairman of ISRO, and the director of All India Institute of Medical Sciences, the former director, Dr. Guleria, is one of the members of it. There was this acknowledgement that these are specialists who know what are the scale at which the students appear, what should be done, what are the possible systems which have to be put in place, and they have to submit a report within 2 months. And thereafter, a new body will be created, or this, completely overall NTA will be put in place. But for the moment, the big decision that has been taken by the government is sacking of the NTA boss.
Absolutely, and the timing also extremely significant, Mara, some sort of damage control by the government right ahead of the Parliament session, because certainly this has become a huge political issue as well, with the opposition, demanding the education minister's resignation, and certainly the government might have anticipated that this could play out in a big way in the Parliament as well, that begins day after tomorrow. And of course, it also comes right ahead of the Supreme Court hearing to be held on the 8th of July. So the government has a plan of action now in place.
Yes. Look, Vedant, the government was being asked repeatedly in the Supreme Court. The NTA in its very first hearing had gone ahead and said that 1,563 students who got grace marks that stands cancelled and that there would be retests for these students. And subsequently, tough questions were being asked by the apex court to the government and also to the National Testing Agency. It was becoming clear that National Testing Agency's failure was becoming too much of a hot political button for the government to handle. And let's not forget that, in 48 hours, there would be questions that will be asked on the floor of the House. The DMK has been demanding that NTA or NEET be scrapped completely. NTA as a body has been facing questions from all politicians across party lines and also from within. If you look at it, there were several MPs who were raising questions as well. So it was only a matter of time that NTA action would be taken against the Director General of NTA. Right. And the government will now be going to the Supreme Court and also to the Parliament, explaining their position that they have taken action.
Absolutely, Maria. Thanks very much for joining us with that update there and for breaking that story right here on NDTV. In fact, our senior managing editor, Nikunj Garg, is also live with us on the phone line. So, Nikunj, at the heart of this entire story are the lakhs of the students, who have been on the streets demanding justice. And there seemed to be some sort of breakdown of trust between the testing body and the students. And this is clearly a move towards fixing that or fixing accountability.
Well, Vedant, I would say that you couldn't have put it more lucidly when you say that there appears to be, and the challenge here is, remember, stories will come, stories will go, administrative actions will come, administrative actions will go, crisis will come, crisis will go. Governments of the day will survive, politicians will make hay out of it. However, as you said, at the heart of this crisis are millions of students who are suffering for no fault of theirs. Ideally, this is a situation that should have been completely avoided. Now, this is a situation which must be remedied. And NDTV, as a news broadcaster, has always been in the favor of any crisis being resolved. It is one thing that we are duty-bound to resolve, we are duty-bound to report a crisis. It is also another thing that the authorities that are in charge of these institutions must resolve this crisis. It is always much more joy, it is always much more pleasure reporting the resolution of these crises than reporting the crisis itself, as many may presume. However, as you said, that these appear to be the first nimble steps that the government is taking. One would have hoped that these steps could have come probably slightly earlier in the day. But as I said in my previous conversation with you, government being government and bureaucracies being bureaucracies as they are, they cannot act in jiffy, they cannot act very nimble-footed. A lot of facts have to be taken into consideration before arriving at such a serious decision as removing as a senior bureaucrat as the NTA chief. Government, having written that bullet, will necessarily have to now follow with the follow-up steps. As Maria was saying that, they will now need to face the parliament. This is not, as I've said in the past, this is not the same parliament till about a few months back. This is a parliament with the buoyed ranks, with the bolstered ranks of the opposition. This is a parliament without the absolute majority of the BJP. So in such a situation, politically, the government will have to face a lot more than they have been used to in the last 1 decade.
Absolutely.
Quite clearly, courts are seized of this matter. The top court itself is examining and has expressed on multiple occasions serious angst about even minor compromise with the examination process. Minor compromise. There appears to be a major compromise. How these things play out in the top court and the parliament, we will have to wait out and report. And we will report reasonably and responsibly. Currently, as you said, that this appears to be first step to repair this entire breach of trust or the breakdown of trust between the examinees and the examiners, which is in this case the government itself. Yes. The NTA has come into play. One hopes that these things move in a positive direction from here on, and millions of students who are the principal stakeholders and their parents who are the principal stakeholders after having spent lakhs and lakhs of rupees, lakhs and lakhs of hours
absolutely
preparation for these exams, do not suffer.
Absolutely. And Nikunj, thanks very much for joining us with that and putting all of that in perspective. As Nikunj is saying there, that, you know, ultimately it's the students who are the primary stakeholders, and this is the first step towards restoring that faith as far as the testing agency is concerned. In fact, we spoke to some students a while back, some NEET UG aspirants as well as a NET candidate. Listen to what they had to say.
These 2 weeks were very hard for me. It was a very stressful period. Means I could say that I was not this much stressed during the NEET exam. As much now I am stressed after the results. I expect that re-NEET should not happen for all the students because it is very unfair to us. There was immense amount of pressure on us when we were undergoing the exam. And now today, most of the students are not in the state to undergo that amount of pressure again. So I expect the Supreme Court should make justice, and if the Supreme Court gives the verdict in favor of re-NEET, so at least we should be given enough time, at least 1 month, to prepare for re-exam. Yes, of course, it's a good move. It's a justified move because I think the government is now serious regarding conducting exams. They also cancelled UGC-NET just after the day when the exam was conducted, and now they postponed NEET PG. There must be some valid reason for it. There might be paper leak news or any other news for NEET PG also. So I think it's a very good move for PG students.
I think partially say this thing that government is moving in a right direction because this is the first step by the government. Let us wait for the further steps what government will be taking. First of all, I think the government should announce the date of the exam also because date is also very important for a situation in which the student is very uncertain about its future. Whether he know that the exam will be conducted, but when it will be conducted, whether it will be conducted in this month only or in the coming months, and which agency is going to conduct, and what will be the new rules and regulations for the examination. Yeah, exactly. This is the one of the reason that government is taking actions in hurry now because students are uniting, they are protesting, and that is the need of an hour at this time.
तो दोस्तों ये है कोटा के बेस्ट टीचर्स जीतू भैया।
हाँ या ना कुछ बोल भाई।
जीतू भैया क्यों? जीतू सर क्यों नहीं?
We are fondly known as Jeetu Bhaiya on the show. And that's how maybe, you know, everybody likes to call you these days as well.
जो कैरेक्टर है बहुत ही फिक्शनल था, मैंने पढ़ाया भी है और मैं उस कोटा के कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट में पढ़ा हूँ जहाँ पे मैंने बहुत सारे टीचर्स देखे हैं, बट जीतू भैया का जो कैरेक्टर है वो काफी डिफरेंट है।
पहले कहते 11 लाख स्टूडेंट्स के साथ जेईई का एग्जाम दो और टॉप 1% में आओ, चलो ठीक है मान लिया, ठीक है नहीं, इससे भी आपका एडमिशन नहीं होगा, उसके साथ आपको बोर्ड से 75% लाने होंगे। ये कैसा 2 फैक्टर ऑथेंटिकेशन है बे इनका? जब मैंने पहला सीन पढ़ा तो मुझे फटाक से मेरी पहली चीज वही चीज याद आ गई कि यार ऐसा सेम मेरे साथ हुआ है।
एक आखिरी बार जोर लगा दो और एडवांस में तोड़ फोड़ मचा दो।
I am very happy to be included in the world of Kota because tremendous potential and strength that the youth of India represent, and I feel our storytelling has never included them before.
ड्रीम नहीं, एम बोलो। ड्रीम बस देखे जाते हैं, एम अचीव किया जाता है।
बहुत बार ऐसा होता है, एंड आई हैव सीन मेनी गाइस जो कि 2 फोन कैरी करते हैं सिर्फ इसलिए कि उनको 2 अलग अलग व्हाट्सएप को रन करना है। एंड समटाइम्स आई अंडरस्टैंड कि मतलब एक फोन होना मुश्किल हो जाता है, बट व्हाट्सएप हैज अ बिल्ट इन ऑप्शन। अगर आपको नहीं पता है, यू कैन जस्ट ऐड एन अकाउंट इन द सेम एप्लीकेशन। ये बड़ा आसान है। यू जस्ट गो टू व्हाट्सएप, आप सेटिंग्स में जाएंगे, अकाउंट में जाएंगे, एंड वहां पे यू कैन जस्ट ऐड अनदर अकाउंट। आप नंबर डालिए, ओटीपी आएगा, वेरीफाई हो जाएगा, अपनी डिस्प्ले फोटो ऐड कीजिए अगर करना है तो, एंड दैट्स इट, योर अकाउंट इज डन। बेसिकली आप उसी एक व्हाट्सएप की ऐप में 2 अलग अलग अकाउंट रख सकते हैं फॉर अ पीस ऑफ माइंड। एंड अगर आपको मल्टीपल अकाउंट्स रख के, लेट्स से यू वांट टू यूज इट बिकॉज ऑफ यू हैव 2 फोन नंबर, हो सकता है एक नंबर आपका इंडिया का है, मे बी यू आर ट्रैवलिंग अब्रॉड, आपका दूसरा नंबर भी है, मतलब यू गेट द ड्रिल कि आप सीधा एक व्हाट्सएप ऐप में 2 अकाउंट्स रख सकते हैं और ये काम आप एक फ़ोन में भी कर सकते हैं. जस्ट इन केस दिस मेक्स योर लाइफ ईजी, प्लीज़ यूज़ दिस टिप और इसको आप शेयर भी कर सकते हैं.
Get ready for the ride of your life. NDTV brings you the NDTV Auto Show with me, Mugdha Mishra. From the fastest supercars to the sleekest new energy vehicles to your trusted daily ride, we cover it all. Every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7. Your next great escape starts.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and
Focus is on the investigation. The Bihar police now point that there's a link to mastermind Ravi Atri, a repeat offender when it comes to paper leaks. In fact, multiple people have been arrested. Here's NDTV's investigation into the NEET controversy. Take a look.
मतलब हमारी यही डिमांड है कि एक ऐसी एजेंसी जो कंपेटेबल ही नहीं है, जो जिसका क्वालिफाइड ही नहीं है.
एनटीए जो एग्ज़ाम करा रही है बिल्कुल एक नॉन ट्रस्टेबल एजेंसी बन के रह गई है. इसको जितना जल्दी हो सके स्क्रैप करना चाहिए.
As the NEET nexus begins to unravel, the rot that has ruined students' lives runs deep. While the Bihar Economic Offences Unit has submitted a 5-page status report to the Education Ministry, prima facie, the Solver gang has emerged as a key conspirator. They operate by uploading solved question papers to students via encrypted channels like Telegram and WhatsApp, even circulating them on the dark net. The Bihar module comprises the alleged mastermind Ravi Atri, lodged in the Meerut jail, running the operations from inside, with the help of trusted aide Sanjeev Mukhya, who's on the run. Operating under Mukhya, Atul Vats, Sikandar and Sintu, accused of circulating leaked papers, have been arrested. Parallelly, a bitter political war continues, with the BJP accusing the RJD of being in cahoots with the conspirators.
सिकंदर वही है जो उनके पिताजी श्रीमान लालू प्रसाद यादव रांची में थे तो सेवादार था कि नहीं, ये जवाब क्यों नहीं दे पा रहे हैं? वर्गलाने का खेल क्यों खेलते हैं? ऐसे लोग कहीं न कहीं बिहार के बच्चों का, देश के बच्चों के भविष्य के साथ खिलवाड़ करने की मानसिकता से कब मुक्त होंगे?
तो आप लोग भारत सरकार का पूछ रहे हैं कि फलना बिल ला रहे हैं पेपर लीक रोकने के लिए, है ना? लॉ ला, हाँ, वो लीक ना हो उसके लिए लॉ ला रहे हैं. पहले तो मान ही नहीं रहे थे कि लीक हुआ. धर्मेंद्र प्रधान जी वरिष्ठ नेता हैं, भाजपा के बड़े अनुभवी मंत्री हैं, वो तो मानते ही नहीं थे कि भाई पेपर लीक हुआ. जो नहीं मानने वाला उसके लिए भी लॉ ले आया जाए.
Hazaribagh in Jharkhand, the mini quota has now emerged as the epicenter. Sources suggest that a half-burnt booklet has led investigating authorities to believe that the NEET examination paper was leaked from Hazaribagh. When NDTV reached out to the divisional commissioner, there was no comment.
इसकी कोई जानकारी जिला स्तर पर अभी हमें नहीं है किसी भी लेवल पे, बट अगर ऐसी कोई बात है या सूचना है तो हम लोग आगे ज़रूर इसको सॉल्व करने में सहयोग करेंगे. अभी हमें इसके बारे में आधिकारिक रूप में या किसी भी स्तर से किसी प्रकार का कोई इन्फॉर्मेशन प्राप्त नहीं है.
The opposition, however, calls it
All right, more breaking news coming in now. Fast-paced developments in the entire NEET exam controversy. Now the NEET leak case, the paper leak case, has been handed over to the Central Investigating Agency, the CBI. Of course, this comes after the various demands of a CBI probe into the NEET paper leak case. Remember, students on the streets also demanded a CBI probe, a CBI investigation into the entire paper leak case. Of course, multiple agencies already probing. The Bihar Economic Offences Wing also looking at this. Mara Shakil is now joining us live. So, Mara, this was among the demands of the students protesting out in the streets. They wanted a CBI investigation, and now that has been promised by the government.
Yes, that's right. They were demanding either a CBI probe or a Supreme Court monitored probe. And now the government saying, and the press release, I will read that. That's very clear. It says certain cases of alleged irregularities, cheating, impersonation, malpractices have been reported. And for transparency on the conduct of the examination process, the Ministry of Education, Government of India, after review, has decided to entrust the matter to the Central Bureau of Investigation for comprehensive investigation. So what is very clear now is that the government is going to the Supreme Court on 8th with all the actions which has been taken, be it the action against the NTA boss, which is essentially sacking, removal of the NTA boss, and now the CBI probe. Now the question remains that does it stop at the CBI probe, and what does it actually mean that with the government, so far saying till 72 hours back saying that there has been no evidence of paper leak. Now the government on record is accepting that there were reports of cheating, irregularities, impersonation, malpractices. So it's very clear that there has been paper leak, malpractices, everything has been accepted by the government. Now the case has been handed over to the CBI. Now what? Does it mean that there will be NEET retest? Well, now that is the big decision we are waiting for, whether that decision will be taken in the next 24 hours or whether that will be taken a little later. But for the moment, one thing is clear, that CBI will now be investigating because there are reports of malpractices, and the words are cheating, irregularities, and impersonation.
As you say, now the focus will of course be on whether there's going to be a re-NEET, because there were a lot of demands of the students. They said that re-NEET is the only option. Many of them, however, saying that that would be unfair to a lot of students. But the fact of the matter is that the government moving fast, is a fast-paced developments to fix accountability, and perhaps also an acknowledgement of the fact that the National Testing Agency failed in conducting the NEET examination, which is why the government leaving nothing to chance.
Yes, that's right. The National Testing Agency has failed, and all the exams that they were conducting has been postponed or cancelled. Now, as far as the exam which started this entire controversy, that exam which has been under the scanner, the NEET exams, that is now being handed over to the CBI, which is the UG NEET exam. The PG NEET has been postponed already, which was scheduled to take place on 8th of June. In some time from now, but in 24 hours. But the larger question certainly is that does it stop here? Are the students going to be satisfied with the CBI probe, because they were also demanding a Supreme Court monitored investigation? So CBI probe ordered, but will it also lead to a Supreme Court monitored investigation? That remains to be seen. And the next step, will it also mean re-NEET, just as it had happened in 2017, if I remember, if memory serves me right, Vedant? But the government standing with the students, and this is the community that had been relentlessly fighting for it. It was their career which has been at stake. They were fighting for their rights. They were fighting for fairness. They were fighting for transparency, and rightly so. And and the government realizing that they had to stand with the right side, and the right side is the student side.
Absolutely, and some sort of a win certainly for the students community, and
absolutely,
and the government also trying to reassure and reinstate the faith of students in the testing agency, because of course the fact is that there has to be some solution forward. This cannot be a deadlock, which is why the government sort of taking bold steps, handing over the probe to the CBI, sacking the NTA chief, perhaps what many would call unprecedented moves by the government.
But I think, as Nikunj was pointing out, and I would agree with him, that this was the best way forward, that this was the only way forward in terms of the government realizing that there has to be an action of this nature, and taking a move which would actually mean that the student community, which has been worried about their own investigation, their own concerns, they realize that there has to be something which has to be done, and they were demanding fairness. They were saying that they do not have faith in the entire process, that they do not have faith in the in the testing agency, that they were not, they weren't really sure that if this re-NEET happens, or even if those retest happens of 1,563 students, that would essentially mean that there would be fairness in the system, because the fairness in the system had been compromised from the word go. The arbitrary manner in which the system had functioned was very clear from the very word go. And that is the reason why the government going ahead and sending this message that if they were to ensure that if there is a re-NEET going forward, or if there is if the students should have faith in this institution, that the only way that students can have faith in this institution is if there is a CBI probe or a Supreme Court monitored probe. Now the government saying that the CBI probe will be ordered.
Absolutely, Maria, and those visuals that we're constantly showing on our screens, it was disheartening to see all those students take to the streets with placards, their careers, their futures hanging in the balance, and it's these lakhs of students who are the heart of the story, really, and, move towards fixing accountability. It was really important for their trust to be reinstated as far as the systems of this country are concerned, because, these are the future doctors and future professors, future teachers, whose careers were at stake.
Absolutely, Vedant. The students who should have been spending their time having faith in the system, that the system would not let them down, were feeling, disheartened. They were feeling frustrated. They were angry and upset. They were sure that the NTA was wrong. They were sure that the government had to do something, that they were demanding accountability. They were demanding transparency. And what if you have the entire student community, the NEET students on the streets demanding action, what can the government of the day do? And when you heard those voices, we at NDTV were constantly reporting the voices of the students, and they were very clear that the students wanted lot of clarity from the government, that does it stop at those 1,563 students, or does it actually mean that there are several others who have been given grace marks, and hence there has to be something more that has to be done for them. And for that, the only way forward was to ensure that there is this entire clarity. The clarity would come only if there is a CBI investigation which has been ordered.
Now there's a multi-agency probe in a sense, Maria, because you have the Bihar Economic Offences Wing already. They submitted their report. The Bihar police looking at the solver gang aspect. Now you have the Central Investigating Agency, of course, which will be taking over the probe. So a multi-agency probe to, in a sense, find the root cause of this entire paper leak. In fact, Nikunj Garg is also now live on the phone line with us, our senior managing editor. So Nikunj, this was one of the demands of the students. They wanted a CBI probe into the paper leak, and there was a lot of outrage across states over how papers of key examinations leaked. And now, of course, you have the Central Investigating Agency, which will probe the root cause of this entire mess.
Well, I think it's a prudent decision that the government has taken, because the fact is that while the Bihar Economic Offences Unit, which started to probe this case, has done a commendable job in first to begin with, and then to find out the root of the paper leak. But it will still be a case of multiple jurisdictions across the states coming into play. Sometimes there can be reluctance, particularly if the different political parties are in power to carry out such probes. Therefore, a Central Bureau of Investigation probe would completely paper over those cracks. And as you said, that if it was the demand of the principal stakeholders in this matter, that is the students, then for sure the government has done the right thing and should have actually done this earlier. However, as I have been repeating, that bureaucracies being what they are, they take their own time and sometimes to arrive at critical decisions. Nonetheless, my sense is that the government has not ordered a takeover of the probes, which means that the Economic Offences Unit of Bihar, or for that matter Telangana, or for that matter Andhra Pradesh, whichever state police is probing these cases, will continue to probe these cases. However, However, the Central Bureau of Investigation will now become the central agency to probe the multiple dimensions or all the dimensions across the country. And remember, the heart of it is a central agency and the central government employees. Obviously, the NTA chief and his subordinates are the central government employees. If you need to probe them, then prudence lies in the fact that a central agency does that job. It would be much more easier for that central agency to coordinate with the Ministry of Home Affairs, basis whose inputs the Government of India claims, the Education Ministry claims, that they cancelled the previous examination. So all the coordination between the central government ministries and the state government, probe of the central government employees, etc., would become much smoother now that the Central Bureau of Investigation comes into play. I would not say that they are any more professional than the state police forces. As I've again previously said, that Bihar police has done a commendable job in this case in unearthing. Unfortunately, to begin with, nobody paid much attention or heed to the claims of the Bihar police, which interestingly currently is led by a former Central Bureau of Investigation officer, Mr. R.S. Bhatti, who was a senior officer in the CBI before he went back to his parent cadre and became the Director General of Police, Bihar. Now, having ordered the CBI probe, my sense is that the Government of India will be quickly handing over all the keys, all the back-end software, all the back-end arrangements that go into carrying out such a mammoth exercise of a national examination. That would make the task or the job of the Central Bureau of Investigation much easier compared to any other state police force, because the Government of India agency and officials will also feel much more free in terms of dealing with the probe agency, that is the CBI. So in that sense, the probe should now gather pace. One should hope that the CBI should get to the bottom of this matter, and never again in the history of this country should a day come, as we have been seeing unfolding in the previous few days, where the future of the lakhs and lakhs of the students have been put under serious question mark. And as I've been saying that, despite in India, examinations are not just examinations. They are sometimes make or break moments of life. Parents, teachers, students themselves spend lakhs and lakhs of man hours, lakhs and lakhs of rupees in preparation for these examinations. And if any kind of setback comes in such a process, it's not just a setback for a student, it's a setback for entire institution, entire families. And with great alarm and concern, the concerned intelligentsia or the concerned people have been watching now for many days student protests spiraling over across on the streets. A scenario which would have never actually have played out. Unfortunately, it happened. Unfortunately, there are very serious lapses. Unfortunately, the government did not act with the kind of alacrity that it should have from day one in terms of the probe. Right. Unfortunately, there were many gaping holes that were not paid attention to, and one only hopes that going forward, nobody tries to look the other way when the crisis is staring all of us in the face.
Nikunj, thanks very much for joining us with that and putting it all in perspective. Maria Shakil continues to be with us. So Maria, as we were discussing earlier, now there's going to be a multi-agency probe. But what next? That is a key question. Perhaps are we to expect some more sort of fast-paced developments in the next 24 hours, given the fact that the government is really moving fast with the investigation and with its bid to fix accountability?
Yes, so, the next big question after this is, will there be re-NEET? So that is the only question that is there on the minds of those 24 lakh students who certainly feel that because of the acceptance of malpractices, malafide and impersonation and alleged cheating, if the case has been handed over to the CBI, which essentially means that certain students did not get the level playing field that these exams are expected to offer. And will there be re-NEET? Well, that is the big question that needs to be answered. A clarity of that would come in the next 24 hours, perhaps just before the session of Parliament. Yes, and, we were standing with the students. We are standing with the student community here. 24 lakh students who took NEET. They are staring at an uncertain future. They do not know whether when they will be going for counseling, counseling, they would be getting the right, seat in the right college, Vedant, because they feel that the entire system has been unfair to them. So if they would not mind, I'm not too sure of, because a number of students were of the opinion that there should not be any re-NEET.
Yes.
But if the students want to re-NEET, should be given that option or not? That is the big question also. But now that that there is a clear acceptance of, of cheating in particular. So the examination process has been flawed. So will there be re-NEET is the question that we are waiting to find answer of. But overall, but overall, one thing is clear. That the government has sent a message that they are serious about fixing the entire examination mess. The paper leak country that we have become, that in every state, be it for jobs or for teacher examination or for post-graduation, the paper leaks happen. And, and just about nobody seems to be having any answer to that. So there is a need for a criminal investigation into NEET, which has the maximum number of students. Vedant, look, governments will come and go.
Absolutely.
We have seen how the NEET, the examination paper leak became the talking point in the Rajasthan elections, became a talking point in Madhya Pradesh assembly elections. And the opposition was seeking accountability. Several ministers lost from their seats because of the allegations that they were facing. So there is a need for fixing the system because of the challenges that the entire examination process is facing at the moment. But certainly we are seeing that there is something which is becoming clear, perhaps a ray of hope for the students at the end of a otherwise dark tunnel. Those students who will be going back home, will be going to bed later tonight, will be satisfied that there are people taking care of their future, handling their future with a lot of caution and care. So I think we are standing with the students, Vedanta, and that's what when I took those exams several years ago, we wanted clarity, and certainly the students are right in demanding that clarity.
Absolutely, Maria. Thanks very much for joining us with that update there. So some silver lining there, certainly for the lakhs of students who've been relentlessly on the streets for the past couple of weeks. With that, we'll step into a short break, but this remains our top focus on NDTV.
Nothing. Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
It's time for the favorite section जिसका मैं इंतजार करता हूँ हमेशा. It's called Ask TG and यहाँ पे I answer all your questions. Let's see what we have for this week.
Welcome back. The big headline from the world of business. Well, Nirmala Sitharaman, the finance minister, chaired a key pre-budget meet right ahead of the July budget. And the big takeaway, of course, seems to be the fact that the government is now mulling bringing diesel and petrol under the realm of GST. In fact, the government has put the onus of fuel GST on the states. This, of course, as Nirmala Sitharaman also chaired a key GST council meet, the first of the NDA 3.0 government.
वो वेरिफिकेशन हो रही है, ठीक हो रही है, होने दो, उसका कोई बदलाव नहीं कर रहे हैं हम, वो चालू रहेगा. मगर ये सुविधा स्टेशन जो सर्विस सेंटर बनता है, उसमें जा कर के इकट्ठा सभी जो रिक्वायरमेंट है, आधार है, आपके बायोमेट्रिक वेरिफिकेशन है, आपके पेपर्स है, सब इकट्ठा देने में गुजरात में पायलट प्रोजेक्ट का एक्सपीरियंस बेस करते हुए मैं बोल रही हूँ, in a matter of 15-20 minutes all paperwork is done and registration हो जाता है नया कंपनियों का.
Bringing you a quick wrap-up of the 53rd GST Council meeting. Fuel, however, is not under the GST ambit still. The FM said it will be a state decision. Biometric registration, Aadhaar-based authentication will now be mandated pan-India, starting now in a phased manner. Hostel-related accommodations to be GST exempt for those within campuses. Now, before it was inside the campus, now even outside campuses, student hostel accommodation where at least 90 days of stay and a minimum of 20,000 rupees per person per month is being charged, they will be GST exempt. In terms of railway services, particularly platform ticket, cloakroom services, waiting room services, any intra-railway services, they will be GST exempt. And most importantly, if there is a particular demand notice that has been served and there is an interest penalty waiver that will be there if the case does not involve fraud. So these are some quick highlights.
Lost, kids left orphaned. Take a look.
Hooch horror haunts Tamil Nadu. The death count in the terrible illicit liquor tragedy has crossed 50. The Tamil Nadu police have arrested the alleged kingpin, bootlegger Chinnadurai, accused of supplying distilled Iraq made using killer methanol, which was allegedly procured from Puducherry. The liquor was sold to many, including Kannukutti, who bought the illicit liquor and sold at his backyard for years at this village in Karunapuram. All those arrested, including the alleged kingpin Chinnadurai, are serial offenders already arrested for illicit liquor sale. The police station and the court are so close by. Local people say with big money, enforcement authorities and the bootleggers are in connivance. Tilakavadi is shattered. She lost her daily wager husband after 2 days of struggle. Her mother says police and authorities were aware of the sale of illicit liquor in the village for years, but they did nothing as they were on the payrolls of bootleggers.
எல்லாத்துக்கும் தெரியுங்க ஐயா, தெரிஞ்சிருந்து அவங்க மாமூல் வாங்கிட்டு ஒரு மாதம் 4 நாள் 5 நாள் லிமாண்டில் வைக்கிறாங்க, அப்புறம் பணத்தை கொடுத்து சால்வ் ஆகி முடிச்சிடுறாங்க. கேட்க போனால் நீ ஏன் கேட்குறன்னு கேள்வி ஒரு மாற்றங்கள் மக்களை பேசுகிறாங்க, ஈவிரக்கமாக திட்டுறாங்க.
நான் விற்கிது நான் குடிக்கிறேன் என்ன பண்ணு அப்படின்னு வீட்டில் சண்டை நடக்குதுங்க. அண்டாயை வச்சு குடிக்கிறானோ, குண்டாயை வச்சு குடிக்கிறானோ, தாலி நகையை கூட குடிக்கிறானுவ. எவ்வளோ நாங்கள் கஷ்டப்படுறோம், எதுக்கு இந்த மாதிரி அரசாங்கத்தில் செய்கிறாங்க.
In the Tamil Nadu Assembly, the key opposition, AIADMK, continued demanding MK Stalin's resignation. The BJP, which took to the streets today, sought the resignation of the minister in charge of prohibition.
BJP, first of all, we as a party demands the resignation of the Prohibition and Excise Minister, Muthuswamy, with immediate effect. The Tamil Nadu BJP has announced 1 lakh as a compensation to each family, and the Tamil Nadu Bharatiya Janata Party, led by Annamalaiji, has requested, is now fighting to ensure that there is a CBI probe in the incident.
Our Chief Minister has immediately ordered for CBCID inquiry and judicial inquiry also. The opposition party in the Assembly, headed by Edappadi Palanichami, wants to make it as a politics. The opposition has refused to come to the Assembly. They have not mentioned anything inside the Assembly.
900 people have been arrested in the police crackdown across Tamil Nadu. In Trichy, Collector Pradeep and SP Varun Kumar led an overnight operation on the Pachamalai Hills and destroyed 200 litres of illicit liquor. Locals joined in, pledging to eradicate illicit liquor. This is the second huge tragedy in 2 years, and this has come as a huge setback for the ruling DMK. The SP and several police officers have been suspended. the collector and the ADGP transferred. The AIADMK seeks a CBI probe. The Madras High Court too has made strong observations, asking whether any lessons were learned and has sought an action taken report. At Karunapuram with Suresh, Sam Daniel, for NDTV.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. 10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India. One world hygiene.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Okay, so guys, there we have it. Now this is the best and my personal favorite section. आपको पता है, it's called Ask TG, and यहाँ पे my responsibility is to answer all your questions जो भी आपने पूछे होते हैं अलग-अलग अपने gadgets के बारे में. I'll give you all the answers. Let's see the kind of questions we have for this week's episode. I mean, okay, I'll give you a very basic answer, brother, which is to just go and check into the sync settings of your phone. अगर आप जब S7 यूज़ कर रहे थे उस टाइम पे सब कुछ sync हो रहा था and now you have moved to S21 and it's not working, आप अपने फ़ोन की settings में जाइए, वहाँ पे आपका जो भी particular account है, for example if it's Outlook or maybe it's the Google account, उस पे टैप करने के बाद में आप देख सकते हैं कि क्या-क्या चीज़ें sync हो रही हैं या क्या-क्या चीज़ें sync नहीं हो रही हैं. It's very easy, maybe it's off, वहाँ पे वो sync नहीं हो रहा है and that's the reason कि आपको अपने Outlook अकाउंट में आपके जो कॉन्टैक्ट्स वगैरह हैं या कैलेंडर जो डिटेल्स वगैरह हैं वो नहीं दिखाई दे रही हैं. तो जस्ट टर्न ऑन दैट सिंक एंड उसके बाद में आपका जो मोबाइल फ़ोन का जो भी कंटेंट है वो इजीली सिंक हो जाएगा विद योर आउटलुक.
डू होम अप्लायंसेस स्टॉप वर्किंग और ट्रिप इन पीक समर्स ड्यू टू हीट?
This is NDTV and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello, Moto.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Turning Point. I'm Usama Shab. A comprehensive win for the Men in Blue as they trump Bangladesh by 50 runs to make it to this, almost make it to the semis. A scintillating half-century by Hardik Pandya and contributions from Kohli, Dubey, Rohit and Rishabh Pant helped India first reach the total of 196. And then when India came out to bowl, it was Kuldeep's golden wrist that did the damage for Bangladesh as he started with a 3-wicket haul. India make merry at Antigua while Bangladesh will have to wait to do the Nagin dance. Here's how the match unfolded.
In some sort of form, especially here today.
India came out looking to outbat the Bangla Tigers. The duo of Rohit and Kohli went after the bowlers from the get-go. Rohit Sharma hit a six.
Rohit Sharma's hit a colossal six. The spinners.
A boundary.
Now that'll be 4 more too.
And then lobbed one for a catch.
This is a miscue. This is a miscue. Coming right underneath it. It should be taken. It is.
A repeat of Hitman's November 19th innings. While Kohli showed signs of getting back to his best,
Six.
a reckless shot ended Kohli's stay shortly after. And with Surya departing, India were in a state of bother. But Rishabh Pant continued his good form as he showed his class, hitting the Bangladesh bowlers effortlessly. The reverse sweep, which has been the go-to shot for Pant in the World Cup, was the reason for his end at the crease again. Second successive match that Pant has got out to while playing the reverse sweep.
I guess. So I thought you take over.
Shivam Dube showed his six-hitting prowess and made a quick-fire 34. India, on the back of Hardik's late surge, ended their innings at 196. A boundary of the last ball as Hardik brought up his 50.
Hardik Pandya this time.
And when Bangladesh came out to bat, their openers, they treaded cautiously, but Hardik Pandya, he got the first breakthrough for India as he foxed Liton Das. Tanzid and Bangladesh captain Najmul Hassan Shanto, they tried to keep up the ante, but Kuldeep, he was in a mood today. He got Tanzid, and as he failed to misread the googly and got LBW, and then he was at it again as the Bangladesh batters, they failed to read him. Yet another LBW, and then got the wicket of Shakib Al Hasan, who got a little greedy and tried to hit it out of the park. Instead, it was an easy catch for Rohit Sharma. Wickets, they kept falling, and ultimately the target was way too much for the Bangladesh batters, who fell short by 50 runs.
Obviously, it is. I've mentioned it earlier as well. I've always been very fortunate to play for the country. Obviously, it was very, freak injury which happened. I did try to come back, but, God had some other plans, could not make it back. And, just putting the hard work and making sure that I give myself some opportunities to, luck come my way. So, I always believe, I think the other day I was speaking to Rahul sir, our coach, and we did mention about the fact that luck comes to people who work hard. You can't sit home and expect the luck to work.
Well, luck did come to Hardik Pandya. In fact, luck came to India as India beat Bangladesh by 50 runs. Talking about that match, and we'll talk about that match. Joining us right now, Abhishek Nair, Rishi Chhabra and Ashok Malhotra. Gentlemen, happy and a very good morning, as I should say. It is indeed a very good morning for all India fans. A great comprehensive win. Abhishek, let me start by asking you about the approach that India had while they came out to bat today. They came out looking to attack from the word go.
Well, I think something we've spoken about through and through. They've shown a lot of aggression. We've seen Rohit Sharma speak about it. We've spoken about T20 format in general. Just to see how the whole team's gone about their business, I just felt there was a lot of conviction, barring Surya Kumar Yadav, everyone chipping in, everyone trying to keep the tempo up. And on a pitch like that, when the conditions got better, to score 197 against Bangladesh just tells you the mentality. You've got 150, but everyone contributing. Just tells you that this team's playing some special cricket. Kind of reminds me of how KKR played this season. Everyone chipping in with the ball, chipping with the bat. So maybe some good positive signs for India going forward.
Well, all the KKR's luck has gone to Team India right now. And we are not complaining. It is a great thing. We hope that India goes on and win the World Cup. Rishi, what did you think about Rohit Sharma? We are talking about that 6 followed by a 4, and then he got out in the exact same manner that he got out on November 19th. But all in all, it was a great day for all the Indian batters. What did you make of Rohit Sharma's approach, though?
I mean, like Abhishek sir said, intent was always there. And, even though he scored 10 runs in the first 2 balls, he was still trying to make it a big over, unfortunately got out. But, the kind of start that Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli gave us, I was talking on your show previously as well, that we need that start. that intent has to be there so that the middle order can count on it and, we can score big in this game. And that is what happened. Virat Kohli looked in good knock. I mean, barring Surya Kumar Yadav, I think, he scored 2 back-to-back half centuries.
Yeah.
But everyone chipped in with runs. And that's what Rohit Sharma said in the post-match interview as well, that, small contributions from every player is what matters. And, the batting unit looked good. I think it was a clinical performance, tick marked all departments today.
Ashok Bhaji, is there any way that you can contact Rohit Sharma, call him and tell him that, look, if you have managed to hit a 6 and a 4, don't try to hit another one out of the park. But jokes apart.
Look, I'm neither a coach nor a selector to tell him. He's his own man, but I agree with you. I understand he says I'm playing for the side. I understand he's saying I'm playing aggressively. But we are used to watching a film from him, not a cameo.
Yeah.
So we are not used to watching a cameo from him. When he's set, we know he can play long innings. He has done wonders in white ball cricket. So I'll expect to do that. I understand they gave a wonderful start, both Kohli and Rohit Sharma, but we expect one of them to bat 20 overs.
But he has also talked about an approach that he has taken from the ODI World Cup, and he's carried that in the T20 World Cup as well. He said, and in the post-match interview as well, he was mentioning that it's not about the milestones, it's not about the number of 50s or 100s that he scores, it's more about the way he gets those runs and how quickly he gets them. And this is something that possibly is what has probably worked for Rohit Sharma, and probably what hasn't worked for Rohit Sharma in this innings.
See, as long as the going is good, we are not complaining. He gets around 10, he gets around 13, it doesn't really matter. When it comes to the knockout game, then one of these two, the big ones, will have to come good. You cannot play small innings. Believe you me, if somebody has to hold 4, one of them will have to anchor the inning.
Okay.
We have got enough hitters, enough, I would say big hitters. We bat till 8. We have a deep batting lineup. So why would you go after that? If you're going to go the way you're going, maybe you might not do that against Australia or England or maybe even South Africa.
Okay.
It was Bangladesh, the spinners, and we went after them, and we were lucky. But I think bigger teams it'll be difficult for us to go through because it is something like baseball. It is now Rohit ball, and I don't know how good it's going to be. We'll wait and watch.
Abhishek, do you think Row ball or Kohli ball, is it going to change when we take on Australia?
Well, I think the conditions will determine how they play, to be honest. I have to put my coach's hat on and be a little diplomatic with what I say. But I would just say that, once a team decides to play a certain way, I also believe it's the players feeling an inhibition. Sometimes you walk into bat, there's a feel that you have. We saw Virat Kohli. I kind of felt watching him bat today, he was in the zone.
Yeah.
Felt like he was, hitting the right shots, was playing the right balls, targeting the wind. But I think at one point of time, just that shot, pretty similar to what he did in the last inning, a rush of blood. But I always believe in situations where you've got batting up to number 8. And I think that is a conscious effort that the Indian teams made with Akshar Patel coming with the likes of Ravindra Jadeja, Surya Kumar Yadav, Rishabh Pant. When you've got that deeper batting order, so much power, the onus is on the top order to make sure you can capitalize on the power play. Yes, I absolutely agree with Ashok, so that to a certain level, you want your openers to convert, but you also want to make sure they convert at a strike rate that can help the team benefit, get those extra 10 runs, put that extra pressure. And I think that's what Rohit Sharma is trying to do. We saw that in the World Cup, where he tries to take the onus, tries to score runs up front and makes it easier. Back then, Shubman Gill, now Virat Kohli.
Yeah.
But I feel, like I've been saying again and again, when it matters the most, I have a strong feeling that either Rohit or Virat's going to get a big one. Maybe in the semi-final, maybe in the final, but it's going to come.
All right. Rishi, we discussed this in the evening as well. It wasn't 100 for no wickets, as the legendary Mr. Brian Lara had predicted, but it was 83 for 3 in 10. 39 runs is what India... this was India's basically best opening partnership between Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli in the tournament so far. So there are some positives with respect to how Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli both went ahead with this partnership.
Absolutely. I mean, the kind of pitch that we got in New York, I think a lot of the players were struggling scoring runs there. But then since we moved to the West Indies side of the tournament, I think better pitches, better playing conditions. So we saw today as well, the intent was there. And it's just a matter of time that probably Rohit and Virat will score big. And, like I said in the evening show as well, from here on, I feel it's a knockout game.
Yeah.
Treat Australia as well as a knockout game and keep with that intent, and probably, the big runs will come. And the kind of performance that we saw today by Virat Kohli as well, it was just a matter of one shot here and there, and probably he could have gone ahead and scored a few more runs.
Correct. Ashok Baji, let's also talk about Rishabh Pant. He has been in phenomenal touch. Rishabh Pant, the batter, Rishabh Pant, the wicket keeper. But Rishabh Pant is also the fourth batter in T20 World Cup who has got out for playing the reverse sweep. What would you tell Rishabh Pant? Should he also try and not play that reverse sweep, or you just tell him, look, we don't have anything to say to you, just play the way you want to play?
Exactly. I wouldn't stop him because I think putting him at number 3 is a must. So let him play his normal game. He's a guy who can turn the game around on his side. He's that kind of a cricketer. Virat and Rohit are not cut out with the same cloth as Rishabh Pant is. They are different kind of players. They're the rock stars, superstars who carry the team. That is why I keep saying that. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, I wouldn't know. But the fact is, Rishabh, I will not change. Let him play the way he wants to. If he gets quick 20 runs, 30 runs, he can turn the game around. I would not change Surya. He's another one who, the day he clicks, he will take the game away from the opposition.
True.
So these are few guys whom I would not change. But the top order, I would like one of them to take little more responsibility and carry the bat.
In fact, Rishabh Pant, he has scored 3 scores of over 30 in this particular World Cup, including the warm-up game. Rishabh Pant, he has been absolutely phenomenal. More importantly, his arc, when you look at it, from his accident to him playing in the IPL and then in the World Cup, Abhishek Nair, what a phenomenal turnaround. What a journey this boy has had.
No, absolutely. I think we've always known he's special. Right from the accident, which was very unfortunate. Throughout the journey, there's always been this hope that Rishabh Pant will come back. The whole of India, BCCI, how everyone supported him, his franchise. There's always been this belief that when India, needs someone like a Rishabh Pant, in that period of a year and a half, no one's been able to replace him. That's the importance of a Rishabh Pant. That's how important he is to this setup. For someone who's never batted at number 3, to come into the World Cup, bat at number 3, keep performing, keep playing those impactful innings, just tells you the flexibility he has in his game. We've seen him play knocks and test matches. At times when you don't, you don't assume he's going to win that game for you, he goes out and wins that game. That's only because of that certain amount of brashness, that certain amount of belief, and that certain amount of doing something that no one else can imagine he can do. And I feel that's what someone like a Rishabh Pant, a Sky, brings to the table. And like Ashok Paji said, that's something that is special, that stands out, and which is why oppositions fear him. Because you cannot anticipate what he's going to do. And once he's on top of you, he only gets harder to bowl against. And that's special. And to see him at bat number 3, I said this before, it's a master stroke by Rohit, Rahul Bhai, to make sure he bats in the power play, because that makes him even more dangerous.
Another left-hander who came good today, even though he scored 34 runs, Shivam Dube, that knock, it will give him a lot of confidence, isn't it, Rishi?
Absolutely. I mean, we were talking about this earlier as well, that the spinners bowling to him, and then the kind of knock that he played in the IPL as well. Similar kind of performance today. It was in his zone and he hit those big sixes. And like I said, just a matter of one innings, and that confidence that he gets from that one innings will probably take him places. And, the confidence that the management has shown in him in the last few games is very clear that they don't want to tinker with the playing 11. So I feel he will stay in the squad. And like I said, it's just this inning that will give him a lot of confidence going forward in the tournament.
Another player who came good today is, of course, our very own Kung Fu Pandya, Hardik Pandya. What a knock it was, 50 runs. It basically took India to 196. Ashok Paji, again, another player who has had so many ups and downs in the recent couple of months. What a good way to get back to form, hit 50 runs, and his contribution literally basically helped India to reach that score, 196, and take the game away from Bangladesh.
See, he's that kind of a player. You know, he bowls well, he bats well, he fields well. He's a 3-in-1, if I may say. And now the way he's bowling, my only question mark over Hardik is that is fragile written on his face, you know, on his forehead. You know, and he can break down any time. The moment he holds his leg or holds his arm, I get scared. Now again, he's back to square one. But as long as he's fit, he's a wonderful, wonderful player. Wonderful.
Entire statement, it's coming home. It has not really worked out well for England. For their World Cup campaign, for their football World Cup campaign. Let's hope it works out for us, though. But Abhishek, talking about Hardik Pandya, that like Ashokji said, last couple of months, it has been very tough for Hardik Pandya. This knock will definitely give him so much confidence.
You know, the fact that he's had such a tough few months and the Indian team has still backed him, just tells you how important he is for the system. Just tells you that there is only one Hardik Pandya. Yes, India's been on the hunt for the last couple of years, trying to get an all-rounder who could bowl 135 clicks, who could bat from number 3 to number 5, 6. We've tried different players, but just tells you why Hardik Pandya is so important, because there is only one person in India right now who possesses the talent to do that. So backing him there, coming here, now first picking up wickets, and now in the last 2 games getting runs is great signs for India. Also because he's finishing games now. We've seen that he's done very well at number 3 in the past couple of years, but to see him play that finishing role again, going after spinners, going after fast bowlers, just tells you that Hardik Pandya is slowly getting his Midas touch back, and having that all-rounder perform just brings great balance to the Indian team, because now you've got power through and through. You've got right hand, you've got left hand, you can put Hardik Pandya up the batting order, you can bring Shivam Dube down. It just gives Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid that flexibility to play around with him. Also with the ball, it gives you the freedom to play 3 fast bowlers and 3 spinners. And we've seen how Kuldeep Yadav has been effective once he's come in. So I just feel Hardik Pandya being on song is nothing but a big bonus for India.
Absolutely. We'll take a very quick break. Gentlemen, stay with us. When we come back, we'll talk about Kuldeep Yadav and what you all made of his performance today. In just a few moments from now, we'll be back with more.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number 1 in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
तो दोस्तों ये है कोटा के बेस्ट टीचर्स जीतू भैया। हाँ या ना कुछ बोल भाई। हाँ या।
जीतू भैया क्यों? जीतू सर क्यों नहीं?
We are fondly known as Jeetu Bhaiya on this show, and that's how maybe everybody likes to call you these days as well.
जो कैरेक्टर है बहुत ही फिक्शनल था, मैंने पढ़ाया भी है और मैं उस कोटा के कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट में पढ़ा हूँ जहाँ पे मैंने बहुत सारे टीचर्स देखे हैं, बट जीतू भैया का जो कैरेक्टर है वो काफ़ी डिफरेंट है।
पहले कहते हैं 11 लाख स्टूडेंट्स के साथ जेईई का एग्जाम दो और टॉप 1% में आओ, चलो ठीक है मान लिया, ठीक है नहीं, इससे भी आपका एडमिशन नहीं होगा, उसके साथ आपको बोर्ड से 75% लाने होंगे। ये कैसा 2 फैक्टर ऑथेंटिकेशन है बे इनका? जब मैंने पहला सीन पढ़ा तो मुझे फटाक से मेरी पहली चीज़ वही चीज़ याद आ गई कि यार ऐसा सेम मेरे साथ हुआ है।
एक आखिरी बार जोर लगा दो और एडवांस में तोड़ फोड़ मचा दो।
I am very happy to be included in the world of Kota because tremendous potential and strength that the youth of India represent, and I feel our storytelling has never included them before.
ड्रीम नहीं, एम बोलो। ड्रीम बस देखे जाते हैं, एम अचीव किया जाता है।
Welcome back. India remaining unbeaten in the tournament so far, something that we have seen in the ODI World Cup as well. will India go on and beat Australia and then another 2 matches and reach the final of the World Cup and ultimately lift the World Cup? We'll have to wait and watch for that. But for now, India have beaten Bangladesh by 50 runs, a comprehensive victory for Team India. We have been in conversation with Ashok Malhotra, Abhishek Nair and Rishi Chhabra. Abhishek, before going into the break, we were talking a little bit about Kuldeep Yadav. I just want you to elaborate on his performance. What did you make of his performance today? In 4 overs, he picked 3 wickets for 19 runs, and he was the one who got the breakthroughs when India needed it.
Well, I think we've seen this revelation in Kuldeep Yadav in the last couple of years. I would hate to say it, but post KKR, when he came to Delhi Capitals, I think we've seen a transition in him. We've seen him speak about his journey of how he's sort of worked on his pace, worked on his revolutions. But I feel through and through, the turnaround for me in Kuldeep Yadav is how he's learned to understand which bowler to bowl against, batter to bowl against, because to a certain extent, you always feel he's one step ahead of the game. You always feel he anticipates what the batter is going to do. And no matter how much skill you have, the ability to do that is something that stands out in him. Yeah. He's also bowling the power play now. He also gives you the flexibility of bowling towards the death. So that I feel has been the emergence of someone like a Kuldeep Yadav, and which is why I just felt through USA, you were kind of waiting when Kuldeep Yadav is going to be unleashed. And now that he is, you've seen the impact in the last 2 games. So for all the other teams watching this Indian team now, they're going to be thinking which bowler to target, because once Kuldeep Yadav comes in and there's Bumrah, there are 2 wicket-taking options back-to-back who can come and stop the game, but also pick wickets. I think the revelation of Kuldeep Yadav just strengthens India's chances to pick that cup up.
And in fact, you could see it in his approach as well. He was so brave with his bowling. He got hit for a 6 by Shakib Al Hasan, and then the very next ball, he tosses it up and gets Shakib to play that shot. Rishi, what did you make of Kuldeep Yadav, the bowler, and just the way he approached the game, his bravery, showing his bravery against somebody like Shakib Al Hasan, who's really good at playing spin?
Absolutely. I mean, he's not scared to fly the ball. He's not scared to, put it up the batsman length, even though, Shakib hit him for a 6. So we saw that, the transformation that Kuldeep had in the IPL as well. There was a season where he wasn't performing well. He had a breakdown as well at end of one of the games as well. But again, the kind of performance that he's put in, the kind of hard work that he's put in the last few years, just shows the character. And, we saw Rohit Sharma as well talk about the fact that he wanted 3 to 4 spinners in the team. And now, Kuldeep Yadav is actually proving his point right, that it was the right decision to have Kuldeep and hold him back in the USA leg and just, unleash him in the Super 8 and semi-finals now.
Absolutely. And another bowler that we cannot not talk about, Jasprit Bumrah. In the T20 World Cup 2024, he has played 5 matches. He has taken 10 wickets at an average of 6.5, a strike rate of 11.40 and an economy rate of 3.42. Ashok Malhotra, the more we talk about Jasprit Bumrah, the less it is.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think we can talk about him. He's too good. He's a freak. He is somebody we have never seen before. Runs from 6 yards and bamboozles everybody. He's unbelievable. He bowls slower ball, he bowls lightning quick Yorkers, and then nasty bouncers, and the back of the hand deliveries, an outswing, in-swing. I don't know. I mean, he's a freak. I've never seen anything like this in my 40 years, 50 years of career. He's somebody out of this world. He's an alien, believe for me, as far as I'm concerned. He's unbelievable, and we are very lucky to have him in our rank. And when you talked about Kuldeep, I would say he was a bit complacent. Sometimes you get into a slumber, and somebody has to shake you out of it. And I think KK did that. That is why he's come back. He's bowling quicker in the air. He's bowling googlies. He's not scared to fight. When you are hurt, then that brings out the best in you. That is what happened to Kuldeep Yadav.
All right, gentlemen, we are running short of time at this point of time. A big thank you to all of you for staying up till late And talking about this particular match, before we end, India will now lock horns with Australia. And what we are hoping is a blockbuster clash in the Super 8 stage of the 2024 T20 World Cup. That match will happen at St. Lucia on Monday. The winner of the match is likely to top Group 1. It will be a clash of two powerful batting lineups who also have very potent bowling attacks. We can expect a run feast at the high-scoring St. Lucia. That's all we have for you. Keep watching NDTV.
Get ready for the ride of your life. NDTV brings you the NDTV Auto Show with me, Mugdha Mishra. From the fastest supercars to the sleekest new energy vehicles to your trusted daily ride, we cover it all. Every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7. Your next great escape starts here.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. 10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India. One world hygiene.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
It's time for the favorite section जिसका मैं इंतजार करता हूँ हमेशा. It's called Ask TG and यहाँ पे I answer all your questions. Let's see what we have for this week. Okay, two things. One, that maybe the kind of work that you are doing on your laptop is more demanding now, जो शायद आप एक साल पहले ना करते हो. That's the reason that the system is under load and fan चल रहा है just to keep it, below a certain temperature. Second thing, because it's a sunny, day, usually that we see that the temperatures are going really high, तो हो सकता है because the ambient temperatures are hot in your surrounding, आपका लैपटॉप जो है वो काम कर रहा है जस्ट टू स्टे कूल. थर्ड सिनेरियो अगेन क्वाइट कॉमन जो हो सकता है वो ये
A CBI probe ordered into the NEET mess, a key student demand. With that settled, this as the government gears up to face a parliament next week. Amid the NEET UG mess, the NEET postgraduate entrance examination has been postponed. The government says the examination has been postponed as a precautionary measure. The NEET PG entrance examination will not be held on Sunday. A later date will be notified soon. And amid the NEET fiasco, the government decides to sack the NTA chief. The NTA Director General has been dropped amid the exam mess. An interim arrangement has been made. This is the government forms a panel for fair conduct of examinations, a 7-member expert panel to review exam safety. Government, of course, in action mode after 4 key exams under scanner. This is on the investigations front. The Bihar police now suspecting the role of a solver gang behind the NEET paper leak, and the police now suspecting links to a repeat offender, Ravi Atri. This is NDTV investigates a NEET examination leak. Hello, welcome. You're watching NDTV. I'm Vedant Agarwal. Our top focus on NDTV, the great Indian examination mess. And now a key demand of the agitating students has been settled, with the government deciding to hand over the probe to the CBI. Of course, it's a multi-agency probe. The CBI will be investigating the NEET paper leak. Of course, the lakhs of students who've been protesting relentlessly on the ground have demanded either a CBI probe or a Supreme Court monitored probe. The government has decided to hand over the probe to the CBI. This, of course, as the government acknowledges various malpractices, irregularities and cheating, instances of cheating that have come to light. So the CBI will now be probing this entire NEET mess. And this also comes 2 days ahead of the all-important parliament session that begins on Monday. My colleagues Maria Shakil and Nikunj Garg report.
Yes, that's right. They were demanding either a CBI probe or a Supreme Court monitored probe. And now the government saying, and the press release, I will read that. That's very clear. It says certain cases of alleged irregularities, cheating, impersonation, malpractices have been reported. And for transparency on the conduct of the examination process, the Ministry of Education, Government of India, after review, has decided to entrust the matter to the Central Bureau of Investigation for comprehensive investigation. So what is very clear now is that the government is going to the Supreme Court on 8th with all the actions which has been taken, be it the action against the NTA boss, which is essentially sacking, removal of the NTA boss, and now the CBI probe. Now the question remains that does it stop at the CBI probe, and what does it actually mean that with the government, so far saying till 72 hours back saying that there has been no evidence of paper leak. Now the government on record is accepting that there were reports of cheating, irregularities, impersonation, malpractices. So it's very clear that there has been paper leak, malpractices, everything has been accepted by the government. Now the case has been handed over to the CBI. Now what? Does it mean that there will be NEET retest? Well, now that is the big decision. We are waiting for whether that decision will be taken in the next 24 hours or whether that will be taken a little later. But for the moment, one thing is clear, that CBI will now be investigating because there are reports of malpractices, and the words are cheating, irregularities, and impersonation.
Well, I think it's a prudent decision that the government has taken, because the fact is that while the Bihar Economic Offences Unit, which started to probe this case, has done a commendable job, in first to begin with, and then to find out the root